Man, I'ma keep it real until the day that I die. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts, no need to ask why. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. Man, I'ma keep it real until the day that I die. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts, no need to ask why. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. Every day of my life, man, I gotta stay 100. That's just how it is when you coming where I'm from. Hey man, I rock my own clothes with my name on my shirt to let everybody know the L is the same and the B is for Blizzle. Yes, I make it snow, but just keep that on the lizzo. My bloodline is filthy, most of us is criminals. Jack of all trades, but the master counting decimals. Sticky situation, so I keep my heat accessible. I'd rather your peeps than my peeps looking pitiful. A lot of y'all really talk about that shit. Me and my nigga, we really do it, dog. Always keep it real, dog. Man, I'ma keep it real until the day that I die. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts, no need to ask why. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. Man, I'ma keep it real until the day that I die. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts, no need to ask why. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. I can't lie. Every day of my life, man, I gotta stay 100. That's just how it is when you coming where I'm from. Hey man, I rock my own clothes with my name on my shirt to let everybody know the L is the same and the B is for Blizzle. Yes, I make it snow, but just keep that on the lizzo. My bloodline is filthy, most of us is criminals. The jack of all trades, but the master counting decimals. Sticky situation, so I keep my heat accessible. I'd rather your peeps than my peeps looking pitiful. It's crunch time. Hey man, I do this for y'all, just in case you didn't know. Hey man, I die for my dogs. My only fear is counting too much money. The same cats that help me get it might try to take it from me. My deepest fear is goons pulling up beside me, ready to lick shots, pop, pop, and try to blind me. I'ma keep it real until the day that I die. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts, no need to ask why. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. Man, I'ma keep it real until the day that I die. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts, no need to ask why. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. I came from a family where females were go-getters. Granddad was an alcoholic, grandma was a bootlegger. Hey man, that's where I got my hustle. Plus my Aunt Julia was never scared to bust ya. And Uncle Dan, he was a fool. He didn't care about too much. You smoke, you too. Taught us that drug dealers didn't last too long. That's why I put my all into each and every song. I see death around the corner. Lord knows, where will I be without Joanna? She helps me focus and keep my eyes on the prize. Man, your boy been 100. Man, I put that on my life. And I'm just trying to live right. I know goons that was killers that committed suicide. One thing's for certain, two things for sure. You can take my breath away, but I'll never sell my soul. And I'ma keep it real until the day that I die. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts, no need to ask why. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. Man, I'ma keep it real until the day that I die. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts, no need to ask why. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100. I can't lie. And man, you know I keep it 100.
Man, shouts out to everybody. Happy Mother's Day out there, man. It's your boy OTK, man. Open the knowledge, man. Shouts out to all the mamas out there. All the mamas out there, man. I'm going to rearrange this thing a little bit today because of that. So here we go.
Shout out to the mama chief. Yeah, you be quiet when Big Mama speak. What she gave us is a part of me. It flows through my arteries. Even on that journey, that love grows how the garden be. The first to teach us when we sick, the first to heal us. Mama's boy, yeah, you know, her pride and joy. Soul food, yeah, you know, I'm an enjoy. Calm you down just by the sound of a voice. There isn't another feeling inside when they cheering you on at your game and you feeling the pride. You and your siblings fighting, she gon' make you put them feelings aside. She can't lead you down the road, but she can give you the guide. Where you think I get that blissful look in my eyes? I need a side of ice cream with Bim's apple pie. You know for sure for Mama Chief, you know I'ma ride. Cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. The greatness, the patience, the foundation, the knowledge passed down so many generations, our motivation. I just wanna thank you for my creation. Cause we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. The dedication, I seen your tears at my graduation. Now look, ma, your boy done made it. You the reason I'm one of the greatest. Yeah, cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. Now be quiet, let Big Mama speak.
Esta no pinchila bueno. Mucho trabajo, no la pinchila no bueno. Yeah, what's going on, man? Shouts out to all the Mama Chiefs out there, man. Shouts out to all the Mama Chiefs out there, man. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's / Creator Day. You know what I'm talking about? Let me add another title with that. / Creator Day, man. You know what I mean? Shouts out to Drake Cobbs too, man. But we're gonna go ahead and keep this thing rolling, man. So we can get into this thing I got to show y'all today.
Shit getting out of control. I mean, we been there. Hate, they disguise it as love. We call it sensei. They took us to a place where ain't none of this shit clear, and we just look stupid, wondering how we get here. This government got us in chains cause they don't love us. They got us separated by gangs over some colors. What hurts more is we keep trusting these motherfuckers and putting bullshit that they say over each other. It's a bad world. Many cry in this sad world. A unicorn is compared to a black girl, or any child when you mix it, making life swirl. Gems meet a diamond and dance to make the ice swirl. Nigga, don't waste your time trying to hate on me. If you can't deal with your pride, then stay away from me. I don't fuck with none of that dumb shit. You heard that? Don't believe we live on the globe, nigga. The earth flat. First you gotta love yourself, then take the earth back. Find what's really important and make it worth that. Too much time in your hands lead to a dirt nap, but niggas don't keep the same energy to exert that.
What kind of freedom is that? What kind of social or political system is it when a black man has no voice in court, has nothing on his side other than what the white man chooses to give him? My brothers and sisters, we have to put a stop to this, and it will never be stopped until we stop it ourselves.
Mind over matter, but none of that'll matter when in life you're trying to climb and a nigga pull a ladder, believing in the myth when reality is shattered. The lies never end unless you serve it on a platter. America made you a slave, then call you monster. Erase everything that we paved and say we conquered. Willie lynching is a system that really harmed us. It raped women, left children without their fathers. America, land of the free, home of the great. America, cage of the beast, home of the snake. But the fight don't stop when you gone. This shit a marathon. Everything they touched in this world, they made it terraform. The best piece of advice, stay about these pig sight. Fuck what goes on in the street. Nigga, just live life. You only get one of those, nigga. Don't play with that. Trying to dance away in the dark and never make it back. We got a lot of loving to do. Shit is getting worse. Hate run deep in these roots. It's like the shit is cursed. Murder everything you can name. The world gone berserk. Pedophilia real as fuck. It's even in the church. Music, we've been flaming it. No, it ain't no game with it. Just know I put my soul on the beat. When you banging it, this is for the shit that I see and won't play with it. Hood Politics Part 3, my name Dangerous.
They attack the victim, and then the criminal who attacked the victim accuses the victim of attacking him. This is American justice. This is American democracy. And those of you who are familiar with it know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy. Now, if I'm wrong, put me in jail. But if you can't prove that a democracy is not hypocrisy, then don't put your hands on me.
Man, shouts out to Dangerous, man, with the Hood Politics 1, 2, 3, and 4, man. Y'all go check that out, man. Check him out, man, because he got a album just dedicated strictly that he dropped in February. That's strictly for ladies, man. Real banging album. Plus, he got a bunch of other bangers too, man. But we're going to keep it going again, my dog, Dre Cobbs.
Who they think they better than? Ain't no comparison to the so-called black or African American. You can drop the African, keep the American. When we say Aborigine, it make their world in. I'm going in the same dirt my ancestors buried in. I come from a god and a goddess, so what that make me? Not even Basquiat can trace me. Not even Van Gogh can paint me. The MC in me is the god of see, equals the God in me. I'm focused in, let my mind be free. You too blind to see. The Jews I give is real. It's been real. These ain't shots, they missiles. All you gonna hear is the whistle. Lyrically, this the execution. My verses start revolutions. For my people seeking restitution. Since the beginning, fuck evolution. Or maybe my reality is all a dream. I put it together like I was sowing seeds. So it seems this is that audio dopamine. Go against the machine. We put you where nobody can hear you scream. And sing you to meet your Elohim. My nigga, this is savage mode. It's something that you can't decode. It started with a spark and I'ma let it explode. I was given the cheat codes that'll let me dump and reload and go through them waves like a fucking torpedo. You dealt the cards of life. I just cut them diamonds with the ace of spades. Y'all scatter like roaches when they facing raid, or vampires when they facing blade. I'm trying to get an extra charade like I'm getting played. You still stuck as a mental slave. You still stuck in that mental cage. While I'm making easy money, pimping hoes in style. This my coming to age. Crowd roaring when I'm coming on stage. And when I'm done, they gonna be cheering my name. Drake Cobbs, and nah, I ain't quit my day job. I spit bars. I really rap on my day off. That's real shit. Just give you some tools you can build with. Aim high even if you still miss. Just keep going. It's a climb to the top. And I'ma keep flowing. Down Lake Shore, I'm Chicago going. Yeah. You niggas playing checkers, we playing chess. And nigga, this is checkmate. Dre be the big dog and you just a little bait. You out of Africa and we ain't got the same traits. I'm a God being and we ain't got the same fate. My granny died February 18th and I was born on the same date. The chosen one, the ancestors' chosen son. They gave me the golden gun. One shot, that's a hole in one. From the pyramid of the sun, the poverty point. I don't think you niggas is getting the point. We still here. Who said they made the Aboriginals disappear? Your information's lagging in the rear. All you do is teach fear. We copper colored with woolly hair. Am I speaking clear? So fuck the nonsense. When I rap, I touch your consciousness. From within is when you get your self-confidence. Let's bring it back to dominance. Ain't no confining us. Gonna bring that wild Indian out of us. Yeah. Yeah. We still here.
Man, shout out to Cobbs, man, with that still here, man.
Somebody me Tony.
Yeah, me habla esto, shout out to Dre Cobbs, man, with the American Aboriginal song, man. But you know, we're gonna keep it going with my dog, man, as long as they don't try to hit us with no commercial. Oh, nah, they didn't. They hit me with the switcheroo. Got it. Let's get it.
This shit hit hard like Spence on the speed bag. I blow his legs off, he gon' need a knee tag. You niggas sound worse than Eminem on relapse. And Burna Boy, he's trash. You thought I was gonna let you ease past? Running your mouth while taking our culture. Treat this nigga like brisket and slow roast them. Roll up an Akon pack. I ain't ducking smoke, I just inhale and blow. I'm on demon time and I got a hellish flow. The 40 spiritual, I make them see the Holy Ghost. Let's bury these niggas and raise a toast to the Aborigines. That's from time immemorial. A tauntaun is from the soil. Every rhyme is that cook coke, that hard boil. My energy is unattainable. And for you $5 Indians, I might have to flame a few. Run up on the reds, you know I'm blazing through. Turn your gang into turtle soup. I aim for the head when I shoot. I take your top off like you do the coop. I took a drink from the fountain of truth. Now these bars is the burden of proof. They say the pen is mightier than the sword, so you gon' have to acknowledge the God. Drake Cobbs, I take your face off. My style is like cocaine raw. You gon' have to bow down to my Jaguar paw, or I'm coming like Leatherface with the chainsaw. I ride for my road dog like a new age outlaw. I do it to death like Chief Cornstalk. So fuck all your tough talk. You little pigeons can't fly with hawks. Better get you outlined and chalk. It's the supreme being here to electrify your chakra. Any drama is mask on like the Phantom of the Opera. I got the hunger, and you niggas looking like pasta. Shrimp over the lobster, and I'm smoking like a roster. Check my posture. It's only one American, the rest of y'all imposters. Cause you don't want Dre to pop up, cause it's like boys in the hood. I'm out the window with the shoddy, nigga. When it comes to the mic, I'm like the coroner. All I catch is bodies, niggas. So look away before you come in my lane. Is that what's up? I just get it and aim. Yeah.
Yo, man, shouts out to Drake Cobbs, man. Put the arrows up and we still here. We're going to keep it going, man, with Cosmo, man. Shouts out to Cosmo, man, and the Creator Gang.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feel it when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh just that job theft, that chow mein, that pepper bull, that towel mein, since sunset in the arc of Wayne. My brain moving like Tao saying, so ass blood, it's so below, that up and that down thing. This flow is atmospheric. I call that a ground game. See, water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning. So how your God make a sun without vortexing and current? See, the pattern is panic. I'm reaching out for my people. Oh, watch me flow through your speakers. You feel the force of the equal. And when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing put equal. My DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN. It's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita. Rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint. Shout out my big homie Sealer. Got more torque than a sports car. Got more work than a door star. And the first million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar. Oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahu when it's now an ennui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, watch me flow, it's so potent. Set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you make it salat. Well, I'm an Israelite. I'ma make you met the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith. It's so yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah.
Man, shouts out to Cosmo, man, and the Wild Speed gang out there, man. But we gonna keep it going with Voodoo Child, man.
How in the fuck is you hustling with these grams, man? I know it's all cap. All on my face with the fake smile, yeah, you can't get no dab. I got niggas that are shooters, all in your head like a nap. I'm on the scene with them 223s and edit bitch out. No games, man, yeah, I got no time for this shit. I be the one to blame, so please don't you make me click. Hit the block like a march, yeah, it's like a parade. Drunk sound, and you ducking and hiding, no, better cover your face. Hip hop used to be so hard. They dressing for driving fancy. Hoes used to be hoes, but now they stars. Man, I swear this shit done went way too far. Way too far, 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 way too far. Niggas still killing niggas. Pay your partner to hit ya. Hoes still fucking with niggas, never raising their children. Cluckers still paying dividends. Trying to kiss them a feeling. I know a bunch of people who ain't never gonna have a thing. Pants way up their leg, crazy colors in their head. Mumbling, rapping shit. Make the niggas say what it said. I know you think I'm tripping. This boy going fed, but I'm just telling you some of the things bouncing in my head. Hip hop used to be so hard. Now they dressing funny, driving fancy cars. Hoes used to be hoes, but now they stars. Man, I swear this shit done went way too far. Way too far, 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 way too far. Man, y'all got an old nigga singing and sweating in the booth trying to get this shit heard. Way too far. Up your brakes,
Man, shouts out to my dog, man, Voodoo Child. Shouts out to Cosmon. Shouts out to Dangerous. Shouts out to House, man. Y'all already know the lineup, man. How we get it, man. Happy Mother's Day out there to all the mothers / creators. You know what I'm talking about. But we're gonna get into my peoples then real quick, man. You know, look at you. Okay.
Is this nights like this? Days like that. Just sipping this brown, nigga. Blowing this loud. Rolling up these checkers. It's hard to stay sober because I can't keep signing to you. Nights like this. I wish. Nights like this. I wish. Nights like this. I wish that I could shake all of my brother. Nights like that I can shake all of my problems. Made it to the top, they from the bottom. Even though they want to send me stars, it's like this. I will. That I can shake all of my problems. Made it to the top, they from the bottom. But these niggas rather see me starving. Nights like this. Bad bitches and gold bottles. At 17, I have more money that I've been going through, they be going wild. I hope I make it so my son don't have the wrong father. Ay, still doing for my goddaughter. When my funds get low, I hit the block harder. Why you got your hands on the nigga shit to offer? Feeling like bullshit, keep me devil off us. Real baby shit, nigga. Real baby shit, nigga. Real baby shit. Let's try and Dr. Reaper, nigga. I live my life. 2 $8 on my mind. On the daily, nigga. I got the gold. Feel me? It's like this. I will. Then I can shake all of my problems. Made it to the top, get from the bottom. Even though they want to see me starve at nights like this. I will. Then I can shake all of my problems. Made it to the top, get from the bottom. But these niggas rather see me starve at nights like this.
Nights like this, nigga came up from a 20 goddamn double. None of dog going upright. Long flights gotta get right. Doing on cook up, so got a little bit of money. But it's promise, they keep on coming. Can't shake up for shit. I'm a little girl, she need them dollars. Little folks still watching. Old folks still talking, that bitch still jumping. But I don't need them hoes. Cause the check, I still keep coming. Every time I get a gun come up, gotta kick out more, gotta kick out more. But lock on the road, all alone. Trying to get this dope, cause I take dope. If my funds get low and the blow too slow, it's a draw. Then my city can't get no dough. Can't get no dough. Yeah, man. They gon' make $1,000. Gotta kick out these $100. What type of shit that is, man? Nigga kicking up more than he profit on this bitch right now, man. Too much problems, man. They can't take it. Oh, man.
It's like this. I will.
Yeah,
And I can shake all of my problems. Made it to the top, get from the bottom. Even though they want to see me starve at nights like this, I will. That I can shake all of my problems. Made it to the top, get from the bottom. But these niggas rather see me starve at nights like this.
Man, shouts out to my kin folks from Goose Creek, Young Screws, the Paper Boy, and Bud Lock, man. Y'all already know Wild Indian Gang, man. Shouts out to my Goose Creek family. You already know I got to show support to my peoples, them too, man. And I'm going to start showing their new stuff, man. We're going to keep it going, though, man, with my Get Amps on. Y'all already know my Get Amps on, man. I got to keep it going.
BG to a quarter key, I've been popping, bro. IGD me, nigga, I've been hating lately. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I still tap with killers, all the screamers, murder shit. BG to a quarter key, I've been popping, bro. IGD me, nigga, I've been hitting lately. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I still tap with killers, all the screamers, murder shit.
OZ to a whole P, I had to make a flip. First time playing with the clean, I bought the whole brand.
I've been capping, nigga, taxing, nigga, all about the flip. Nigga said his money was to work, I ran off with that shit.
Get them shit for 22, I let you send for 26. 31 is in the city, 28 for remakes.
2K for the rap bags, 40 for the run, stacks for the gas bags, 9 get more than one.
Tan, white, purple weed, and a brown bag, baby. Blue cheese on my purple jean, red bottom cakes.
DG on my belt buckle, Louis V shoe, education in the kitchen, I never went to school.
BG to a quarter key, I've been popping, bro. IGD me, nigga, I've been hitting left. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I still tap with killers, all the screamers, murder shit. BG to a quarter key, I've been popping, bro. IGD me, nigga, I've been hitting left. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I still tap with killers, all the screamers, murder shit. Now it's Cali trips, saran wrap, I'm packaging, saran wrap the brick, ship it out, I'm taxing them.
DG with a quarter key, I hit a lake, 654 ounce of crack till I bought a brick.
Alexander McQueen on my shoes when I'm stepping in. Gucci shade flames on my face when I'm checking in.
Come to kill trap, pat you down before they let you in. Kill ain't gon' go to war unless he got a vest on him.
20,000 turning 50,000, now it's 100,000. Everything for the cheap price, 20 bells allowed.
Stack for the clean, ain't holler for the play with. I don't give a fuck, cause I know you ain't gon' take shit.
Now I rock a little bit of ice, my diamonds bling blow. Amber money ain't taking shorts, Mr. Beam eye.
Back up on the scene now, cool, can't clean now. On my piece of juice, I ain't tryna go to Green Mile.
DG to a quarter key, I've been popping bro. IGD me, nigga, I've been hitting them. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I stay tapped with killers, all the screamers, murder, murder shit. DG to a quarter key, I've been popping bricks. IGD me, nigga, I've been hitting licks. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I stay tapped with killers, all the screamers, murder, murder shit.
Man, y'all already know, man. That's one right there, man. Y'all already know that's my anthem, man. I get turned up, man. So let me get right. Let me get right. Let me turn my shit up on my side. So
DG to a quarter key, I've been popping bro. IGD me, nigga, I've been hating licks. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I stay tapped with killers, all the screamers, murder, murder shit. DG to a quarter key, I've been popping bricks. IGD me, nigga, I've been hitting licks. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I stay tapped with killers, all the screamers, murder, murder shit.
OZ to a whole P, I had to make a flip. First time playing with the clean, I bought the whole brand.
I've been capping, nigga, taxing, nigga, all about the flip. Nigga said his money was to work, I ran off with that shit.
Get them shit for 22, I let you send for 26. 31 is in the city, 28 for remix.
2K for the rap bags, 40 for the run, stacks for the gas bags, 9 get more than one.
Tan, white, purple weed, and a brown bag, baby. Blue cheese on my purple jean, red bottom cakes.
DG on my belt buckle, Louis D shoe, education in the kitchen, I ain't never went to school.
DG to a quarter key, I've been popping bro. IGD me, nigga, I've been hitting licks. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I stay tapped with killers, all the screamers, murder, murder shit. DG to a quarter key, I've been popping bricks. IGD me, nigga, I've been hitting licks. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I stay tapped with killers, all the screamers, murder, murder shit. Now it's Cali trips, saran wrap, I'm packaging, saran wrap the brick, ship it out, I'm taxing them.
DG with a quarter key, I hit a lake, 654 ounce of crack till I bought a brick.
Alexander McQueen on my shoes when I'm stepping in. Gucci shade flames on my face when I'm checking in.
Come to kill trap, pat you down before they let you in. Kill ain't gon' go to war unless he got a vest on him.
20,000 turning 50,000, now it's 100,000. Everything for the cheap price, 20 bells allowed.
Stack for the head, how to play with. I don't give a fuck, cause I know you ain't gon' take shit.
Now I rock a little bit of ice, my diamonds bling blow. Amber money ain't taking shorts, Mr. Beam eye.
Back up on the scene now, cool, can't clean now. On my piece of juice, I ain't tryna go to Green Mile.
DG to a quarter key, I've been popping bro. IGD me, nigga, I've been hitting. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I stay tapped with killers, all the screamers, murder, murder shit. DG to a quarter key, I've been popping bricks. IGD me, nigga, I've been hitting licks. I know cracking niggas, bracking niggas on that foolish shit. I stay tapped with killers, all the screamers, murder, murder shit.
man, shouts out to my dog KO and M track for the fire track, man. Shouts out to them for that. You know what I mean? Shouts out to everybody, man. Dangerous. coming through with the hood politics. Part 3, you know, go check out part 1, part 2, and 4. You know what I mean? Then we had Dre Cobbs coming through with the arrows up. We still here. Plus, he also came through with the Mama Chief at the beginning. You know what I mean? And then we had my boy Cosmon to come through, man. You know what I mean? Keep us up in the air on some good smoke. You know what I mean? On the 7 smoke. We're on the 7 smoke. You know what I'm talking about? And then, you know, shouts out to my dog Voodoo Child, man. Way too far. Way too far. Shouts out to Voodoo Child, man. That's the hardest track out there right now to me. When it comes down to talking about what he's talking about with the industry and shit, man. Respects out to him. Then shouts out to my dog Young Screws the Paperboy, Balak. You know what I mean? Hell yeah, you can send me some music, Juice. Yup. You can come over here, come on here, man. Get my email. Matter of fact, drop the link. Yeah, come on, get my email. Yeah, I support everybody, bro. Music got to be good now. Now I'm talking about music got to be good now. You know what I'm talking about? Bet. You know what I'm talking about? I said love now, definitely. Happy Mother's Day again, man. One more time to all the mothers, man. Y'all might find me doing this a lot in this show today.
Shout out to the Mama Chief. Yeah, you be quiet when Big Mama speak. What she gave us is a part of me. It flows through my arteries. Even on that journey, that love grows how the garden be. The first to teach us when we sick, the first to heal us. Mama's boy, yeah, you know, her pride and joy. Soul food, yeah, you know, I'm an enjoy. Calm you down just by the sound of her voice. There isn't another feeling inside when they cheering you on at your game and you feeling the pride. You and your siblings fighting, she gon' make you put them feelings aside. She can't lead you down the road, but she can give you the guide. Where you think I get that blissful look in my eyes? I need a side of ice cream with Bimars apple pie. You know for sure for Mama Chief, you know I'ma ride. Cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. The greatness, the patience, the foundation, the knowledge passed down so many generations, our motivation. I just wanna thank you for my creation. Cause we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. The dedication, I seen your tears at my graduation. Now look, my your boy that made it. You the reason I'm one of the greatest. Yeah, cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. Now be quiet, let Big Mama speak.
Man, happy Mother's Day / Creator Day again, man. I can never say it enough. I'm speaking for my mom, Duke. You know what I'm talking about. Thank you, Mom Duke. Thank you, grandmama. Thank you, great-grandmama, great-great-grandma, and so forth and so forth. Thanks to all the women in the world. You know what I'm talking about. Door open, man. You know, we got beautiful weather here. You know, we keep our doors open around it. We don't even lock doors over here where I'm at. You know what I'm talking about? Hope everybody doing good out there. You know what I'm talking about? We're going to do this like this because Dots. Here you go, Dots. And Amerigal.
Yeah. What it look like, man?
Let's see what it
Real,
is.
man. I feel the same way you feel about
Word.
I just don't want
I
to rush,
can't
man. I just want to take it one day at a time.
Me too.
That way we can reach the highest point of friendship.
What's the highest point? Let me know.
Then whether you know how far to take this flight.
That's what I'm talking
Word.
about.
You don't just jump in the plane and fly and don't know where you're going
Why
first. Just chill, baby. Just got you.
We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Just keep patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you. We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Let's just keep patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you.
the love making, got your legs shaking. See, every time I'm next to you, I feel your heart beat faster. But yet you try to hide behind your smile and your laughter. See, money's what I'm after, so all I do is chill. I'm out here on the grind, I'm trying to see a meal. You never seen this good life, well come on, let me show you. You never had a real hug, well come on, let me hold you. This life I lead is troublesome. You win some, you lose some. You lost one, then gain one. You want some, come get some. See, everything you want, you need, I got you. Even though you don't know me, I don't know you, baby, I got you. That's just how it goes to me. Rather have you next to me, never in front or back of me. You look good beside me, but we take it there. It's some things you need to know. We don't have to rush, baby, we can take it slow.
We don't have to rush, baby, we can chill. Just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you. We don't have to rush, baby, we can chill. Just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you.
Say if you like me, it's what you want. I ain't about games, I'm trying to front. See something that you want, then get it. Ice cream man always deliver, never late. I come on time. Tell me, girl, what's your room size? Sitting here, watch you visualize. I can't lie, see it in your eyes. Fantasize, I mean you all day, all night. Let me strap your seatbelt on before we take this flight. Hey, you know I'm helicopter high. Baby, you know I'm on a wide, baby, we can vibe. And that's just how it is. El Blizzo keep it realer than all the rest is. And don't compare me to them other dudes. I act a fool with my tool. Lock it down just for you. You got a man, you can keep him too. I don't want him, I want you. Got a couple friends, but I got a couple too. Just let me know, girl, what you wanna do. And we can keep it on the low, long as you know, baby, just take it.
We don't have to rush, baby, we can chill. Just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you. We don't have to rush, baby, we can chill. Just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you.
Shouts out to Straight Smoke, man, for all the visualization, man, all the hard work that he do for the community, and definitely for the cleanup crew of OTK, man. Definitely appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you. Shouts out to Bellioso, Dulcinea, Sharice, Legit. You know what I mean? Shouts out to all of y'all, man. He not nice, man. Shouts out to y'all. Also, man, let me shout out. Man, I ain't seen him in so long, man, but dog don't come through no more. You know what I mean? Damn, he know who he is. I gotta start hitting up his links when he hit me, man. I just be at work when he be going there because our time frame is different. But it's all good, man. Shouts out to everybody in here, man, for this Mother's Day. You know what I mean? I know y'all probably still with the family and everything like that. It's all good. But check it. If y'all got a Fire Stick, you know what I mean? Or go buy a Fire Stick. Just get your internet and then do this.
Welcome to Bridge 3 TV, where simplicity starts and quality TV begins. In this ever-changing digital world, quality TV is just a step away. Minimizing bills for the things we want and the things that we need on a daily basis is something we all want. In order to save money and cut that cable bill, get an Amazon Fire Stick. Go to the app downloader and download the NetGo app. We offer a free 3-day trial and much more at a fraction of the cost for other streaming platforms. Use our free promo code to navigate our service and see if you would like it. Text 502-325-2921 for additional information and details. Enjoy your TV the way you want to.
Man, shouts out to Bridge, man. Listen, check it. Get a Fire Stick. If you already got a Fire Stick, that's cool. Text the number that you just saw just now. And once you text the number, you get that 3-day free trial. If you decide to keep it, make sure when you do text it, though, text OTK or either Open the Knowledge. You know what I mean? If you text that in there, you'll get a discount on your monthly plan or whatever you choose to do. You know what I mean? I'm sure Bridge is real flexible once you talk to him and you talk to his peoples them on deck. But just in case that went by a little bit too fast, because I know it's short, but it, you know, some things that's the best is short, quick, to the point. You know what I mean? So that's why you can do this though.
Welcome to Bridge 3 TV, where simplicity starts and quality TV begins. In this ever-changing digital world, quality TV is just a step away. Minimizing bills for the things we want and the things that we need on a daily basis is something we all want. In order to save money and cut that cable bill, get an Amazon Fire Stick. Go to the app downloader and download the NetGo app. We offer a free 3-day trial and much more at a fraction of the cost for other streaming platforms. Use our free promo code to navigate our service and see if you would like it. Text 502-325-2921 for additional information and details. Enjoy your TV the way you want to.
Yeah, man. Again, shouts out to Bridge 3rd, man. Remember now, Fire Stick, all you got to do is buy internet, tired of the high cable bill, get the 3-day free trial. If you decide you like it, you won't keep it. When you use OTK or Open the Knowledge in your text message, you will get a discount on your monthly price. You know what I mean? For real. And that's guaranteed. It works. Trust me, it's good. You know what I mean? If you have any problem, trust me, Bridge, he would definitely, he's a technical guy too. Him and Straight, you know what I mean? You got 2 technicians on deck, so don't worry about it. You know, and if you got a problem, like I said the other day, if you got a problem, I will pay that month that you don't want it because you say it don't work and you got problems with it. I will pay that month bill for you. And that's on my grandma.
Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always keep it 1,000. Slow mo. Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always keep it 1,000. Slow mo.
Shots out to everybody who gave the dog OTK a chance to come on the panel and stuff like that, to drop my info, man, and definitely appreciate you. You know what I mean? Since so much of y'all I appreciate, I'm gonna just keep adding on to the community support video, because that'll definitely, if I show that every time I'm on live, that's already giving big ups to everybody, man, who showed me a way. And I can't forget about y'all. Yeah, man. Shouts out to y'all too, because without y'all, it would be no me. You feel me? Word, man. Shouts out to everybody out there, man. Man, we done gone through pretty much everything I need to go through. Oh, I'm gonna drop the link up now. What's going on? Peace to everybody. I'm gonna drop the link one more time. People, y'all can come in. If y'all want to come in and comment on this video that I'm gonna show in a second. Man, I got so much stuff. So much, but this Sunday, so I'm gonna drop the documentary. I'm gonna drop this real quick.
Hello?
Daddy, where you going?
What's going on?
Nothing. When you come home?
I told you, man, I'm on the trap, but I'll be home in a little while.
Well, dinner's already made.
Alright.
Daddy, when you coming home? I've been waiting patiently. I'm feeling so alone. I can be your sister. I can be your sister. I can be your sister. What did I say? Coming home. I've been waiting patiently. I'm feeling so alone. I can be your sister. I can be your sister. I can be your sister. What did I say? Just waiting for you to come back home. Give me what I've been waiting for all night. Baby, why you ain't home yet? I'll be your You can squeeze me, I'm something, oh, and you can do whatever you like, 'cause I'm your teddy bear, I'm your teddy bear, 'cause I'm your teddy bear, oh. Daddy, when you see, when you coming home, I've been waiting patiently, I'm feeling so alone, I can be your sister, I can be your sister, I can be your sister, what did I say? When you coming home, I've been waiting patiently, I'm feeling so alone, I can be your sister, I can be your sister, I can be your sister, what did I
Days come home now, baby, you can rest. Being in this game cause nothing but distress. Even though sometimes I get put to the test. Enough about me, how about you? Tell me everything that you went through. Don't really care about anything about your last man. I don't want him, baby, I want you. Sorry that I kept waiting, so patient. I know you feel alone. No hesitation, waiting for daddy to come back home. Tell me how your day went, tell me how your day went. Anybody messing with you today at work? Who is that girl? This ain't no class, with no class. Baby, she's a jerk. Love her when you've been though, love her when you've been though. Trust me, baby, don't see that something deep of me. I done been through that, and I know this will be love coming. She told me, I'm out there, I'm feeling me. Love it when you say, I love it when you say. Can I be your teddy bear?
Who is it?
Yo, babe, it's me.
I'm coming.
What up, the door, teddy bear?
I'm coming.
What's going on, man?
Hey, baby. I was waiting for you all day.
Slot sound high. Lizzo street certified. Yo, baby boy, you got me up on this one, dog. Street for life. Lockdown, I'm so crazy on this one, dog.
My hustle is crazy, my niggas are is crazy. My wrist is crazy. And bitches don't amaze me. My hustle is crazy. My niggas is crazy. My wrist is crazy. So please don't try to play me. My hustle is crazy. My niggas is crazy. My wrist is crazy. And bitches don't amaze me. My hustle is crazy. My niggas is crazy. My wrist is crazy. So please don't try to play me. My nigga, I'm crazy. My hustle is crazy. You know I keep it gutter. So bitches don't amaze me. My niggas is crazy. My hood is deadly. Fuck what you read about. Blissfully you stinking. Creep nigga to the death of me. Never been no bitch in me. Don't let that swagger fool you, cause you see us in the magazine. Black sheep of the family. That gangsta shit is all in me. Stay up on my tippy toes, cause I'm a hood celebrity. Check my track record. I done been close to death. Choppers pointed at my face. 10 feet from the step. Shit, you know how I get down. I'm certified on the streets. You can ask my fucking hood and they'll say that boy crazy. My hustle is crazy. My niggas is crazy. My wrist is crazy. And bitches don't amaze me. My hustle is crazy. My niggas is crazy. My wrist is crazy. So please don't try to play me. My hustle is crazy. My niggas is crazy. My wrist is crazy. And bitches don't amaze me. My hustle is crazy. My niggas is crazy. My wrist is crazy. So please don't try to play me. My family is crazy. These bitches is crazy. Don't approach me sideways. Better use another strategy. They say I'm off my rocker. I got some screws loose. Better recognize a G. Dog, I got plenty juice. Shit, we been getting money. That ain't never been no issue. Ran out of toilet paper. I use my money for my tissue. Grinding's what I love to do. Bust at you, I do that too. Niggas like us only come by the few. We do what real niggas do. Bitches always acting crazy, but they never fool me though. I can see right through you, baby, even with my eyes closed. Don't mix me with that rap shit. I be pulling 24. I'm gon' keep getting this shit until it ain't no fucking more. My hustle is crazy. My niggas is crazy. My wrist is crazy. And bitches don't amaze me. My hustle is crazy. My niggas is crazy. My wrist is crazy. So please don't try to play me. My hustle is crazy. My niggas is crazy. My wrist is crazy. And bitches don't amaze me. My hustle is crazy. My niggas is crazy. My wrist is crazy. So please don't try to play me.
Wow, Indian. Wow, goddamn Indian. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm gonna do this to the ladies too, man. Stop talking.
Constantly stressing, wondering if I chose the right direction. Nobody told me pain will leave an everlasting impression. So I go with my click, that's my best protection. Coming up about the struggle, ain't nothing ever been beautiful. Under these clothes is pain, I just make it look good to you. Keeping my feelings inside cause I don't wanna hurt nobody. So I suck up my pride, I don't wanna hurt nobody. Hearing voices of grandma telling me to come down. So much of what you bought, don't let your family down. With this load upon my shoulder, that gift of me came aboard. Thought it would change when I was older, baby, I'm a soldier. We came a long way to bathrooms, we never had them. Throw that shit up in the woods of country flushing. Thanks to this game, cause it got me living better. They try to stop my blessings, but I will never let them.
was a struggle, was a struggle, life was a struggle. I wish I had dreams and I ain't gotta cry, and I don't feel weak inside. Wondering when I'm gon' die, when somebody gon' save my life. Lord, I need a blessing to see me through everything I'm walking, like the songs I'm walking. People hating while they talking. I don't know, mama said it ain't right. Said they hating this right. I'm doing me. I'm doing me. I'm doing me. Trying to make it out the best for my family. In my life, life was a struggle. Everyday niggas on the block just a follow. In my life, I shed so many tears. I fear one day that my niggas don't disappear. I hold my head up high and I look into the sky and wait for my blessing to come down. In my life, 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 in my life was a struggle, was a struggle, life was a struggle.
Man, shouts out to Family Ren, man. You know what I'm talking about? With the fire singing in the background. You know? For sure, man. I hope y'all doing all right out there today. And don't think I was going to forget. I hope y'all told somebody out there that y'all love them. Somebody, someone, or something, especially mama or grandmama. Regardless of what you might have gone through, just still give thanks because you here. And you definitely got to give thanks if you done created life. No matter what you went through, what mom do, you still got to give thanks. Still got to give honor. Still got to give respect. Because without them, you wouldn't be able to get a happy Father's Day or a happy Mother's Day from your seed. Cycle of life, baby. You know what I'm talking about? Man, shouts out to all the mamas out there. Jackie Brown up in this thing, man. You already know. You know what I mean? I'm going to play this real quick. Oh, yeah, that's what's up, man. Every day the word love. Hey, listen, I put this on everything I love, man. Just when I use the word love, it's all good, man. It's all good to me. It's a good day. When I tell somebody that, man, I don't know what they might be going through, but it seems like it does something to them. And then you can feel that, oh, this person might be going through something. Boy, I'm glad I told them that. You know what I mean? Because somebody might not have told them that. They might be thinking that nobody don't love them. They might have lost everybody. Might not have nobody else that loves them. You know what I mean? And we too gangster to say that we love each other. I don't know where the hell that came from. You know what I mean? If I'm gangster enough to shoot or protect you, I damn sure gangster enough to tell you I love you. Straight up. We don't have to get in a little predicament for me to prove that shit. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you that shit. For real. But let me find my video for today. What we gonna do? All right, we're gonna do this one right here, man. For tonight. We're gonna do a little bit of this, man. I'm only gonna play a couple of minutes of this. I don't want to play too much just in case if people stop. Drop the link one more time, man. And happy Mother's Day. But let's get into see what we got here. What you got here? Yeah. What you got here, OTK? Oh, some more fire. Let's go.
Before I get started, please do me a favor by subscribing to my channel and clicking on the notification bell. That way you will get notified whenever I launch. And all my subscribers, and hello to any new viewers. I've been off the radar for a while, but I'm now back to bring you more real history. If you are a subscriber to my channel and have seen several of my channel's videos, this video will not be a shock to you, but rather provide you with a deeper understanding and further exploration of American history. If you are new to my channel and this is the first video you've seen, do yourself and me a favor and check out several of my past videos first. The topics I discuss and the information I uncover/rediscover are deep and totally fly in the face of the current history we have been fed. All right, so if you're still with me, I think you will really be fascinated by this video, but be warned, I'm going to hit you with a lot of information. You may want to grab your favorite beverage and get cozy. So let me emphasize what this video is all about.
Let's remember now, this, I don't agree with everything I show. Some things I'm just showing just for information purposes, so I can get what I need to get up out of it. And I hope y'all do the same, you know.
How eugenics was used to erase Black history. Another way to put it is, why do so many people around the world currently believe that Europe and the Americas, meaning North and South America, were always ruled by people we currently identify and label as white? Now, for those of you that have watched my videos before, should understand that the label white person is a status that has changed greatly since the turn of the 20th century. So, back to what I was saying. As we all can see, Europe and the United States currently have large populations of people that identify as white, and for the most part are ruled by people that identify as white people. How did this come to pass, and why do many, if not most, believe this has always been the case? I have two words for you: white supremacy and eugenics. Although I've been MIA for several months, I was not sitting on my hands contemplating my navel, as my old math teacher loved to say. What I am doing is constantly researching ancient and current history, for as we all know, history is being made as we live our lives minute by minute. So one of the books I read was War Against the Weak, authored by Edwin Black. This book was extremely revealing, very credible, and very well researched. Mr. Black went out of his way to ensure that the information that went into his book was verified several times over. His access to information that most will never experience was unprecedented in my opinion. This book, to me, was the key that explains how American and European history was whitewashed, and it also explains why, to this day, whitewashed history is still being taught. My only issue with Mr. Black's book, and I will get into it further later in this video.
Listen, y'all make sure y'all go get these books that they talking about, or either grab it on a PDF. You know what I mean? For real. Don't slip on book information, man. If they said the best way to hide information from us at the beginning was to put it in a book, now how would you listen to a motherfucker who tell you not to read a book? That don't mean you believe that book. You got to take what you need to take out the book. Just like some people who be talking, OTK will tell you, man, don't believe everything I'm saying. Go check that shit. Go check that shit.
Is this focus on how the evils of eugenics was waged on poor, uneducated, mentally impaired whites, and secondly, other ethnic and social groups. but he never emphasizes that people of color received the worst outcome because Black folks, aka people of color, were victims of everything that happened to the white people in the categories I just mentioned. In addition to that, Black people's history was rewritten and appropriated still to this day via systematic racism. I know, based on all the information I have researched and that I've been able to piece together in my past videos, that Mr. Black and his researchers, while conducting research in various countries, came across not only written proof of significant people of color in European and American history, but also visual proof. Yet I fear they chose not to reveal this historical information, but instead focused mostly on the past transgressions against white people. Please don't think that I'm diminishing the atrocities committed against white people. However, unlike Black people, in what are presently majority white countries, they do not continue to suffer systematically. I will also share why I believe Mr. Black chose this course of action as we go along in this video. So, I don't know how many of you watching know what the word eugenics means. So let's take a look at the definition provided by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. All right, so eugenics is a noun, and it goes on to say the practice or advocacy of controlled selective breeding of human populations as by sterilization to improve the population's genetic composition. In 1883, Francis Galton in England coined the term eugenics to encompass the idea of modification of natural selection through the selective breeding for the improvement of humankind.
Oh yeah. So in case y'all don't, I don't know if y'all gonna wait around for me to keep showing this. This is the channel. How Eugenics Erase Black History Straight Up. You know what I mean? It popped up in my search. It popped up on me. You know what I mean? Because the other eugenics video. So that's who this is, man. Make sure y'all go over there, man. He probably got more. I'm definitely gonna check his channel out now.
Jeremiah A. Barondas. A half century ago, eugenics became associated with Hitler, genocide, and master race theories, and its reputation has never recovered. Dan Seligman. Then it goes on to say, after the Second World War, eugenics became a word to be hedged with caveats in Britain and virtually a dirty word in the United States, where it had long been identified with racism. Daniel J. Cavels. Now let's also define the term white supremacy. I will again use the definition provided by the online Merriam-Webster Dictionary. All right, so white supremacy is a noun, and it goes on to say the belief that the white race is inherently superior to other races and that white people should have control over people of other races. The alt-right is a reactionary conservative movement. It is characterized by an embrace of fascism, white supremacy, and misogyny. Constance Grady. Under number 2, it says the social, economic, and political systems that collectively enable white people to maintain power over people of other races. William Kelly turned his considerable intellect and imagination to the question of what it is like to be white in this country and what it is like for all Americans to live under the conditions of white supremacy. Catherine Schultz. All right, so those are the 2 definitions I'd like us to keep in mind as we go through this video. I have been trying to figure out how and why history was rewritten, and beyond that, how it was adopted worldwide. Well, folks, this video will delve into exactly those 2 questions, how and why. So now that we've dealt with the definitions of eugenics and white supremacy, let me move on to say, as I've conducted my research over the last several years, trying to figure out at what point did American society change, I kept coming back to the end of the American Civil War and the time during Reconstruction. Some of this information was covered in my last video, The Black Southern Confederacy. Looking at the time period of approximately 12 years between 1865 and approximately 1877 is when the country underwent a radical shift. Not only did men labeled as Negroes obtain the ability to vote as a direct consequence of the North winning the Civil War, but also slavery/indentured servitude for people labeled as Negroes and people labeled as white was illegal in the United States after the ratification of the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution. The ruling class that depended on slavery and servitude before wages for labor. This seriously disrupted the life and how these families made their wealth, attained their social status and influence. Again, I must remind you, the wealthy were not just the non-melanated people, aka white people. It was also Europeans of color, aka Black Europeans, that were very much a part of this ruling class. With the end of the war, Congress.
Shouts out to Master Chief, man, for bringing out the Black Europeans. You know what I'm talking about? Since they say they don't want to believe it. Did y'all just hear that? And he showed a picture of it just now. Let's go. Bring that back a little bit.
Of the United States Constitution. The ruling class on slavery / indentured servitude before the Civil War now had to pay wages for labor. This seriously disrupted the way of life and how these families made their wealth, attained their social status and influence. Again, I must remind you, the wealthy were not just the non-melanated people, aka white people. It was also Europeans of color, aka Black Europeans, that were very much a part of this ruling class. With the end of the war, Congress passed the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery. Then Reconstruction was put into place by the Republican-led administration of Abraham Lincoln. And please, don't confuse it with today's Republican Party. It was done to try to right the wrongs done to those who were enslaved by the societal structure and the rule of law that had been put in place throughout the United States, especially in the southern states, for decades. Unfortunately, Reconstruction.
Hold on. Did that shit just say indigenous Negro?
The Republican-led administration of Abraham Lincoln. And please, don't confuse it with today's Republican Party. It was done to try to right the wrongs done to those who were enslaved by the societal structure.
That shit said indigenous Negroes. Uh-oh. Huh?
And the rule of law that had been put in place throughout the United States, especially in the southern states, for decades. Unfortunately, Reconstruction efforts that held real promise for formerly enslaved people did not last. The equality promised did not come to pass. All right, so you may ask yourselves, what happened to the Reconstruction efforts that the Republican Party put in place? Again, let me remind you, the Republican Party before and after the Civil War was comprised of many Black men. I show you this fact in several of my previous videos. However, as enthusiasm for the Southern Reconstruction efforts waned due to many of the federal and state legislatures, city councils, and other official positions being full of elected Black officials, they did not pay attention to the undercurrent of white supremacy and the adversity to Black rule gaining traction, especially in the formerly Confederate states. So that led up to the Compromise of 1877. And what was the Compromise of 1877, you may ask? Well, according to History.com, the Compromise of 1877 was an informal agreement between Southern Democrats and allies of the Republican Rutherford B. Hayes to settle the results of the 1876 presidential election and mark the end of the Reconstruction era. Immediately after the presidential election of 1876, it became clear that the outcome of the race hinged largely on the disputed returns from Florida, Louisiana, and South Carolina, the only three states in the South with Reconstruction-era Republican governors still in power. As a bipartisan congressional commission debated over the outcome early in 1877, allies of the Republican Party candidate Rutherford Hayes met in secret with moderate Southern Democrats in order to negotiate acceptance of Hayes's election. The Democrats agreed not to block Hayes's victory on the condition that the Republicans withdraw all federal troops from the South, thus consolidating Democratic control over the region. As a result of the so-called Compromise of 1877, Florida, Louisiana, and South Carolina became Democratic once again, effectively bringing an end to the Reconstruction era. Again, let me remind you, the Democratic Party at that time was the party of the South, aka the old Confederacy. It is not the Democratic Party of today. What did occur was lawless violence against Black men, women, and children across the United States. According to the EJI, Equal Justice Initiative.org, during the 12 years from 1805 to 1887, thousands of Black people were killed, attacked, sexually assaulted, and terrorized by white mobs, and individuals were shielded from arrest and prosecution. These white perpetrators of violence were never held accountable. On the contrary, they were often celebrated. Also, according to the EJI.org, in a series of devastating decisions, the U.S. Supreme Court blocked congressional efforts to protect people of color and instead ceded control to the same white Southerners who used terror and violence to stop Black people from participating in political processes. They upheld new laws codifying racial hierarchy and embraced the new constitutional order defined by states' rights. Continuing from the EJI.org website, Within a decade after the Civil War, Congress began to abandon the promises of assistance to millions of formerly enslaved Black people. Violence, mass lynchings, and lawlessness enabled white Southerners to create a regime of white supremacy and Black disenfranchisement alongside a new economic order that continued to exploit Black labor. White officials in the North and West similarly rejected racial equality, codifying racial discrimination, and occasionally embraced the same tactics of violent racial control seen in the South. Again, as I have mentioned in many of my videos, there's a reason most students do not receive any instruction on this part of American history. In my opinion, there's a concerted effort to keep people ignorant, so white people may feel like they attained all their wealth via legitimate means and that Black people, for some reason, have never been able to get it together. I have also covered in some of my videos the documented Black towns that were destroyed, flooded, or massacred by lawless white people that often used one accusation of crime to justify displacing by force entire towns and or killing or lynching many of its Black citizens. I'm not going to go deeper into this subject for the sake of time. However, I challenge you to research slavery/indentured servitude, Reconstruction, and sundown towns on your own. It may open your eyes to why.
One thing I like so far about this is he's saying Black or Negro and not African American. He's also saying slavery, and then he's saying / indentured servitude, meaning you don't know which one is which at the time, depending on the person. You know what I mean? Who you talking about? I like that, man. Let's go.
Things are the way they are in the United States, and why, to this day, governors like Rick DeSantis don't want you to know true history in the United States. DeSantis recently signed legislation to stop Florida citizens from understanding their own history. Wow, it's 2023 and still the United States refuses to come to grips with the truth. Anyway, I could go on, but I don't want to lose you. So, how did eugenics erase Black history? I'm going to read the introduction of the book I mentioned, War on the Weak by Edwin Black. This should give you some idea of what the eugenics movement was all about. Just be forewarned, it's somewhat lengthy, but I feel it's necessary in order to understand what went on in the United States and abroad during the onset of the height of the eugenics movement. Just as a disclaimer, I don't receive any compensation for talking about this book, nor have I ever been contacted by the author or its publisher. Okay, so the introduction goes.
As a disclaimer to me too, I do not get paid for this work, for bringing this information in to the people. It's for free.
Goes on to state, voices haunted the pages of every book. This particular book, however, speaks of the never born, for those whose questions have never been heard, for those who have never existed. Throughout the first 6 decades of the 20th century, hundreds of thousands of Americans and untold numbers of others were not permitted to continue their families by reproducing. Selected because of their ancestry, national origin, race, or religion, they were forcibly sterilized, wrongly committed to mental institutions where they died in great numbers, prohibited from marrying, and sometimes even unmarried by state bureaucrats. In America, this battle wiped out whole ethnic groups, was not fought by armies with guns, nor by hate sects at the margins. Rather, this pernicious white-gloved war was prosecuted by esteemed professors, elite universities, wealthy industrialists, and government officials colluded in a racist, pseudoscientific movement called eugenics. The purpose? Create a superior Nordic race. To perpetuate the campaign, widespread academic fraud combined with almost unlimited corporate philanthropy to establish the biological rationales for persecution. Employing a haze amalgam of guesswork, gossip, falsified information, and polysyllabic academic arrogance. The eugenics movement slowly constructed a national bureaucratic and juridical infrastructure to cleanse America of its unfit. Suspicious intelligence tests, colloquially known as IQ tests, were invented to justify incarceration of a group labeled feeble-minded. Often the so-called feeble-minded were just shy, too good-natured to be taken seriously, or simply spoke the wrong language, or were the wrong color. Mandatory sterilization laws were enacted in some 27 states to prevent targeted individuals from reproducing more of their kind. Marriage prohibition laws proliferated throughout the country to stop race mixing. Collusive litigation was taken to the U.S. Supreme Court, which sanctified eugenics and its tactics. The goal was to immediately sterilize 14 million people in the United States and millions more worldwide, the lower 10th, and then continuously eradicate the lowest remaining 10th until only a pure Nordic race remained. Ultimately, some 60,000 Americans were coercively sterilized, and the total is probably much higher. No one knows how many marriages were thwarted by state felony statutes. Although much of the persecution was simply racism, ethnic hatred, and academic elitism, eugenics wore the mantle of respectable science to mask its true character. The victims of eugenics were poor urban dwellers and rural white trash from New England to California. Immigrants from across Europe, Blacks, Jews, Mexicans, Native Americans, epileptics, alcoholics, petty criminals, the mentally ill, and anyone else who did not resemble the blonde and blue-eyed Nordic ideal the eugenics movement glorified. Eugenics contaminated many otherwise worthy social, medical, and educational causes, from the birth control movement to the development of psychology to urban sanitation. Psychologists persecuted their patients, teachers stigmatized their students, charitable associations clamored to send those in need of help to lethal chambers they hoped would be constructed. Immigration assistance bureaus convened to send the most needy to sterilization mills. Leaders of the ophthalmology profession conducted a long and chilling political campaign to round up and coercively sterilize every relative of every American with a vision problem. All of this churned throughout America years before the Third Reich rose in Germany. Eugenics targeted all mankind, so of course its scope was global. American eugenic evangelists spawned similar movements and practices throughout Europe, Latin America, and Asia. Forced sterilization laws and regimes took root on every continent. Each local American eugenic ordinance or statute from Virginia to Oregon was promoted internationally as yet another precedent to be emulated by the international movement. A tight-knit network of mainstream medical and eugenical journals, international meetings, and conferences kept the generals and soldiers of eugenics up to date and armed with their nation's next legislative opportunity. Eventually, America's eugenic movement spread to Germany as well, where it caught the fascination of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi movement. Under Hitler, eugenics careened beyond any American eugenicist's dream. National Socialism transcended America's quest for a superior Nordic race into Hitler's drive for an Aryan master race. The Nazis were fond of saying National Socialism is nothing but applied biology. And in 1934, the Richmond Times-Dispatch quoted a prominent American eugenicist as saying, "The Germans are beating us at our own game. The gypsies, the rape of Poland, and the decimation of all Europe." But none of America's far-reaching scientific racism would have risen above ignorant rants without the backing of corporate philanthropic largesse. Within these pages, you will discover the sad truth of how scientific rationales that drove killer doctors at Auschwitz were first concocted on Long Island at the Carnegie Institution's eugenic enterprise at Cold Spring Harbor. You will see that during the pre-war Hitler regime, the Carnegie Institution, through its Cold Spring Harbor complex, enthusiastically propagandized for the Nazi regime and even distributed anti-Semitic Nazi party films to American high schools. And you will see the links between the Rockefeller Foundation's massive financial grants and the German scientific establishment that began the eugenics programs that were finished by Mengele at Auschwitz. Only after the truth about Nazi extermination became known did the American eugenics movement fade. American eugenics institutions rushed to change their names from eugenics to genetics. Okay, so I know that was a lot. However, there's a lot to unpack when it comes to the unspoken history of the United States.
Ooh. Did y'all just hear that? They rushed to change their name from eugenics to genetics. So don't tell me that genetics came from pseudoscience. Uh-oh. Well, this might kill y'all DNA for real.
So for most of this video, I will be quoting from Edwin Black's book. In order to compile the research, Mr. Black utilized a network of dozens of researchers, mostly volunteers, working in the United States, England, Germany, and Canada, unearthed some 50,000 documents and period publications from more than 40 archives, dozens of libraries, special collections, and other repositories, page 19. As I read in the introduction, eugenics was international. Why do I mention this fact? Because it goes to show how the white supremacist ideology spread to the majority of the world and why they currently believe in the whitewash history being taught in all of our educational institutions. I'm going to be paraphrasing much of this book due to the fact that it's over 600 pages. That said, I will add page numbers in case you want to find the exact wording in the book. As Mr. Black set out to research in the United States, he found archived information on eugenics at the American Philosophical Society in Philadelphia, the Truman State University in northern Missouri, to numerous obscure community colleges in the Appalachian states, and a long list of state archives, county historical files, and institutional archives where personal papers and period materials are stored. He also spent much time in many small private libraries and archives, such as the one maintained by Planned Parenthood. His team examined records at the Rockefeller Foundation and the Carnegie Institution. He also noted there are probably 200 important repositories in America, many of them special collections and manuscript departments of local libraries or universities. Because eugenics was administered on the local level, every state probably possessed 3 to 5 sites hosting important eugenics documentation. Mr. Black noted that many of the propaganda pamphlets used to promote eugenics in the U.S. were purged from files. However, they could still be found in British records, page 20. So that tells me that the United States has and will purge, aka destroy information they don't want people to know about or remember. Mr. Black goes on further to say, because the German and American wings collaborated so closely, the German archives clearly trace the development of German race hygiene as it emulated the American program. More importantly, because the American and German movements function as a binary, their leaders brag to one another and exchange information constantly. Therefore, he learned much about America's record by examining Reich-era files. For instance, although the number of individuals sterilized in Vermont has eluded researchers in the state, the information is readily available in the files of Nazi organizations. Still on page 20, it says, when it was finished, the journey to discover America's eugenic history had taken me from an austere highway warehouse in Vermont, where the state's official files are stacked right next to the automotive supplies and retrieved by forklift, to the architectonic British Library, to the massive Bundesarchiv in Berlin, and every type of research environment in between. Sometimes I sat in a chair in a reading room. Sometimes I poked through boxes in a basement. On to page 22, it states, when we were done, we had assembled a mountain of documentation that clearly chronicled a century of eugenic crusading by America's finest universities, most reputable scientists, most trusted professional and charitable organizations, and most revered corporation foundations. They had collaborated with Department of Agriculture and numerous state agencies in an attempt to breed a new race of Nordic humans, applying the same principles used to breed cattle and corn. The names defined power and prestige in America. The Carnegie Institution, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Harriman Railroad Fortune, Harvard University, Princeton University, Yale University, Stanford University, and the American Medical Association, Margaret Sanger, Oliver Wendell Holmes, Robert Yerkes, Woodrow Wilson, American Museum of Natural History, the American Genetic Association, and a sweeping array of government agencies from the obscure Virginia Bureau of Vital Statistics to the United States State Department. On page 23, Mr. Black states, when the research phase was over, I realized that less than half of the information I had assembled would ever make it into the book. Frankly, I had amassed enough information to write a freestanding book for each of the 21 chapters in this volume. It was painful to pick and choose which information would be included, but I am confident that with so many journalists throughout America now aggressively delving into eugenics, the field will soon be as broad and diverse as the investigations of the Holocaust and American slavery. At least one book could be written for each state, starting with California, which was America's most energetic eugenic state. Do you remember in the beginning of this video, I told you one of the issues I had with this book was that I felt that Mr. Black came across information that would bolster my claim that people of color ruled Europe and the United States before Reconstruction. However, like he states, he had to pick and choose what information to place in the book. Okay, so on page 24, Mr. Black states, this is the right place to note that virtually all the organizations I investigated cooperated with unprecedented rigor because they want the history illuminated as much as anyone. This includes the Rockefeller Foundation, the Carnegie Institution, Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, and the Max Planck Institute, successor to the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute. All gave me unlimited access and unstinting assistance. All right, so here's my question. Do you think Mr. Black would have been given access to all those inaccessible archives and private collections unless he promised them he would only stick to information regarding eugenics? I truly believe this is the deal that was struck in order for him to be granted this unprecedented access. All right, so on page 25, Mr. Black states, my mission is to expose who paid for these bleak episodes, who agreed to them, who made them possible, and who used his lofty status as a university scholar, a medical expert, a governor, a judge, a legislator, a prominent attorney, or wealthy philanthropic organization to press forward on the gear shift of genocide. All right, so why do I mention this paragraph? Because individuals in these positions mentioned above were also responsible for allowing our true history to be rewritten and taught to future generations. I believe power, greed, jealousy, and envy were contributing factors as to why these people did these horrible things. I also believe it's why it's allowed to continue to this very day. According to Mr. Black's book, the man that coined the word eugenics was an English explorer and anthropologist named Sir Francis Galton. However, he was inspired by Gregor Mendel, a Hungarian scientist and teacher, and Galton's cousin, the English naturalist Charles Darwin. These theories took root around the time of the American Civil War, well into the time of the Reconstruction period. Coincidence? I think not. Let me read you a little bit more from the book to give you an idea of what was going on during the early 20th century. All right, so we're going into chapter 1 of the book, and it's called Mountain Sweeps. It goes on to read, in the 1930s, the Brush Mountain Hill folk, like many other clans scattered throughout the isolated Appalachian slopes, lived in abject poverty, with little education, often without running water or indoor plumbing, and possessing few amenities. They seemed beyond the reach of social progress. Speaking with indistinct drawls and slurred vestigial accents that marked them as hillbillies, dressed in rough-hewn clothing or hand-me-downs, and sometimes diseased or poorly developed due to the long-term effects of squalor and malnutrition, they were easy to despise. Quite simply, polite Virginia society considered them white trash. Page 31. These simple mountain people were systematically sterilized under a Virginia law compelling such operations for those ruled unfit. Often, the teenage boys and girls placed under the surgeon's knife did not really comprehend the ramifications. Sometimes they were told they were undergoing an appendectomy or some other unspecified procedure. Generally, they were released after the operation. Many of the victims did not discover why they could not bear children until decades later, when the truth was finally revealed to them by local Virginia investigative reporters and government reformers. Page 32. Western State Hospital in Staunton was not Virginia's only sterilization mill. Others dotted the state's map, including the Colony for Epileptics and the Feeble-Minded near Lynchburg, the nation's largest facility of its kind and the state's greatest center for sterilization. Lynchburg and Weston were augmented by hospitals at Petersburg, Williamsburg, and Marion. Lower-class white boys and girls from the mountains, from the outskirts of small towns and big city slums, were sterilized in assembly line fashion. So were American Indians, blacks, epileptics, and those suffering from certain maladies day after day. Thousands of them as though orchestrated by some giant machine. Page 32. Retired Montgomery County Welfare Director Kate Bolton recalled with pride, quote, "The children were legally committed by the court for being feeble-minded, and there was a wait list from here to Lynchburg," end quote, she added. If you've seen as much suffering and depravity as I have, you can only hope and pray that no one else goes through something like that. We had to stop it at the root, end quote, page 32. Wow, she sounds like Nurse Diesel from the Mel Brooks movie High Anxiety. On page 34 it reads, Virginia's victims were among some 60,000 who were forcibly sterilized all across the United States, almost half of them in California. Continuing on page 34, it says, the movement was called eugenics. It was conceived on the onset of the 20th century and implemented by America's wealthiest, most powerful, and most learned men against the nation's most vulnerable and helpless. Eugenicists sought to methodically terminate all of the racial and ethnic groups and social classes they disliked or feared. It was nothing less than America's legalized campaign to breed a super race, and not just any super race. Eugenicists wanted a purely Germanic and Nordic super race, enjoying biological domination over all others. Nor was America's crusade a mere domestic crime. Using the power of money, prestige, and international academic exchanges, American eugenicists exported their philosophy to nations throughout the world, including Germany. Decades after a eugenics campaign of mass sterilization and involuntary incarceration of defectives was institutionalized in the United States, the American effort to create a super Nordic race came to the attention of Adolf Hitler. Again, I want to mention that this book is extensive, so there was no way I will be able to cover the entire book. It goes very deep into how eventually laws were passed in numerous states and who championed them into existence. What I want you to take away from this book is to understand white supremacists were responsible for coercively sterilizing over 60,000 Americans. While they were at it, they also created laws to keep people of different ethnic groups from marrying. They maintained positions of power, yet refused to hold perpetrators accountable or even consider prosecuting thousands of murderers of indigenous people, Black Europeans, poor whites, etc. What I also want you to realize is if these sick people in their places of power and prestige were willing to carry out this evil, do you think they wouldn't have the ability or mindset to rewrite our history to glorify themselves? Ask yourselves, do you think it's within the realm of possibility? All right, so
Man, that's 30 minutes, y'all. Y'all want me to let it cook for another 15 minutes or so, man? I don't want to bore y'all, you know what I mean? I don't want to give out too much to his understanding. He said a lot in that 30 minutes, you know what I mean, that we can talk about right now. Or y'all want me to go ahead and let it cook for another 15 minutes, man? I'll let it roll straight up. Y'all let me know. I'll let it play though. Till then.
I'm going to move on. I'm going to cover some of the most powerful people in American society during the early 20th century that allowed eugenics to grow and spread. People like Theodore Roosevelt. He was president from 1901 to 1909. He was a well-known white supremacist. In a book written by Thomas G. Dyer called Theodore Roosevelt and the Idea of Race, he states, Roosevelt believed fundamentally that American greatness came from its rule by racially superior white men of European descent. A quote from the website history.com states, in spite of those words, though, Roosevelt hardly saw all Black Americans as equals. Roosevelt was quoted as saying, as a race and in the mass, they are altogether inferior to the whites. He confided in a friend in a 1906 letter. 10 years later, he told Senator Harry Cabot Lodge that, quote, the great majority of Negroes in the South are wholly unfit for the suffrage, end quote, and that giving them voting rights could, quote, reduce parts of the South to the level of Haiti, end quote. In a book called The Roughest Riders, The Untold Story of the Black Soldiers in the Spanish-American War, the author states on the back cover of the book, Americans have long heard the story of Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders charging up San Juan Hill during the Spanish-American War, but often forgetting in the great swamp of history is that Roosevelt's success was ensured by a dedicated corps of Black soldiers, the so-called Buffalo Soldiers, who fought by Roosevelt's side during his legendary campaign. Roosevelt admitted that the Black troops actually spearheaded the charge, beating him to the top of Kettle Hill ahead of San Juan Hill, but later changed his story, claiming their performance was due to the superior white officers under whom the Black troops served. People should always remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do or don't do that matters. I say this because sometimes inaction, not doing anything to stop or intervene when someone or some group is being brutalized, is just as bad as partaking in the action itself. All right, so let me talk about William Howard Taft. He was president of the United States from 1909 to 1913. He was also a segregationist, white supremacist, and he was a big believer in states' rights, which meant whatever people in power in those states decided was best for them, regardless of who was hurt, was okay by him. Let's look at what President Taft did. Taft had written in 1906 that the Jim Crow laws designed to codify segregation and to disenfranchise Southern Black voters were not harmful because African Americans were not ready to use the vote well anyway. In Taft's words, quote, when a class of persons is so ignorant and so subject to oppression and misleading that they are merely political children, not having the mental stature of manhood, then it can hardly be said that their voice in the government secures any benefit to them, end quote. That quote was from ehistory.osu.edu, Ohio University. Let me comment by saying the author in the paragraph I just read used the term African American to refer to Black voters in the South. We know that the term African American was not widely used until the 1980s, so that is purely the author's assumption. Those that have seen my videos know that the majority of Black people in the United States at that time were Black Europeans and indigenous Black people. Folks, I feel that it's my job to debunk the myths whenever I see them. All right, so on April 3rd,
1911, y'all ham. Go ahead, cook, bro.
President William Howard Taft directed the U.S. Army to expel the 9th Cavalry, an all-Black unit from San Antonio, Texas. Earlier that day, the president had met with San Antonio's U.S. Congressman John Garner who urged President Taft to expel the black cavalrymen from the entire state of Texas because their protest of segregated seating on city streetcars threatened local law and order. Immediately after, President Taft issued to General Wood, the Army's chief of staff, directing the nation's highest-ranking Army official to remove the 9th Cavalry from San Antonio. That was from EJI.org, equaljusticeinitiative.org. A quote from a book written by Ira Katznelson, Fear Itself, The Deal and the Origins of Our Time, states, by 1908, the South had perfected a political system that guarded white supremacy successfully, even in counties with all black majorities. A host of mechanisms ensured virtually no chance to vote for African Americans and low turnout franchise for white citizens. These devices included white primaries, declarations that political parties were restricted to private clubs, poll taxes, property taxes, literacy taxes, and understanding clauses that tested for arcane knowledge of the provisions in state constitutions. This paints the picture of the climate where President Roosevelt was leaving office and William Howard Taft was just starting his administration. In a speech given by Taft, he declared, quote, so long as the statutes of the states meet the tests of the 15th Amendment and are not otherwise in conflict with the Constitution and laws of the United States, it is not the disposition or within the province of the federal government to interfere with the regulation by southern states of their domestic affairs, end quote. Basically, what he was saying was, let them do whatever they want, however they want, to whoever they want, without accountability to the federal government. Taft was also known for removing numerous black men from federal government positions. Sadly, after his presidency, he was appointed to the Supreme Court as Chief Justice. All I can say is no wonder discrimination, racism, hate, and lynching were allowed to flourish. Lastly, let me tell you about President Woodrow Wilson. I've mentioned former President Woodrow Wilson in several of my previous videos. All right, so Wilson held many powerful positions during the entire time eugenics was wreaking havoc across the United States and Europe. Wilson was the president of Princeton University starting in 1902, then governor of New Jersey starting in 1911, and then he was elected president of the United States in 1913 for 2 full terms. He was a well-known eugenicist and white supremacist, and he was mentioned several times throughout Mr. Black's book. Wilson literally authored his own series of history books called The History of the American People. These books praised and glorified the Southern Confederacy. In February 1915, upon viewing The Birth of a Nation, a Ku Klux Klan recruiting film, at a special White House screening, President Woodrow Wilson reportedly remarked, quote, it's like writing history with lightning. My only regret is that it is all so terribly true, end quote. At this time, the KKK made a huge comeback with thousands of members nationwide. These members held all types of positions around the country. Here's what I'm saying. Woodrow Wilson, wealthy elite families, government officials, judges, school board members, etc., and all other like-minded individuals imposed their wills and beliefs on society, which culminated into the history and education we receive today. Unfortunately, so far, no one has been able to produce a smoking gun, showing that history was deliberately whitewashed and who all the perpetrators were. What I'm showing you is that I believe the whitewashing happened during this time period because the climate at that time in history, with all the hateful and awful things that were allowed and in many cases encouraged to go on. Not only that, what we can do is look at the actions of people and groups and see what they actually did for themselves and what they did to other people who they did not respect. All right, so I know many of you watching are skeptical of what I'm saying. However, just like you, I want to know how the actual books were rewritten and altered with new pictures, how the paintings were hidden, recreated, or overpainted, and how photos were replaced or altered to remove all traces of people of color from history. As I was finalizing this video, I was thinking to myself, the cover-up is vast. However, I've so far emphasized more of the why, not necessarily the how. So I've inserted this section to address the issue of how history was whitewashed. All right, so I really hope I haven't lost you. If you need a break, please pause the video, take a break, and come on back. All right, so if you took a break.
Take a break. Y'all go back. Y'all go stretch, man. Y'all go ahead. Y'all go ahead. Take a break. Stretch real quick. Roll up. You know what I'm talking about. We're gonna get right back into this. Definitely, man. It's hitting, man. But we're gonna do this real quick, man.
Father Ray, Reed Youngin. Come on, man. Fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African. Hey, you niggas trash like some ooh. Try to get back to them slave hoes. Hey, hey, hey. Try to get back to them slave hoes. Hey, hey. Fucking slave narrative, they phony. I had this nigga named Toby and he owe me. When the plot crop and the stock drop on top, them niggas going. Sold to the bitter cotton pickers, them my niggas. I'ma come down, feed them chitlins and them gizzards. Nigga, I'm the mister, I whip ya, I kill you. In the big house, go down with your sister. Send it back to you, then I send for your mother. Y'all niggas look out, I'ma work it like no other. Make you pick cotton till the sun come and touch you. Till your damn hands and feet, your foot all bust up. Look me in my eyes, I'ma backhand the buck up. Nah. Shout out to Grandma Foo. Why your man came, she the one that sold you. My crew swam to the show and got you. Good shit, Jesus, man, that nigga came through. Hey, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African. Hey, the niggas trash like some ooh. Trying to get back to them slave hoes. Hey, trying to get back to them slave hoes. Fuck off it, fuck Lennon, fuck Jeffries, ayy. Fuck off it, fuck Ben, fuck Jeffries, ayy. Fuck off it, fuck Lennon, fuck Jeffries, ayy. Ayy. Play with this shit, dude. Beginning. Yo, so PC, the acrobatic. Fuck a Pan-African.
Man, shouts out to Belly So y'all already know. Let's get back to it. Hope y'all unroll up.
Welcome back. If not, here we go. So I've already told you who some of the major players are that were identified in the book. The financiers, the politicians, doctors, directors of institutions, university presidents, and faculty. Of course, these are the main figures, yet it doesn't account for and name the lower level, everyday federal, state, and local employees that actually did the work involved in carrying out this horrible lie. Not to mention the hundreds of American citizens and citizens of foreign countries that volunteered to assist in this hoax. They actually believed in negative eugenics, white superiority, and domination. Or I'm sure in some cases they took part in it for the money and power that came along with collaboration. First, I believe there are four main scenarios that provide for the opportunity to pull off this sort of big lie. And those four would be 1, act of God, 2, pure accidents, 3, fraudulent accidents, and 4, war. Now there may be more, but these are the ones that I've read about. So what do I mean by act of God? What I mean are things that happen naturally like fires, floods, tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, etc. All these situations can occur without people's intervention. Then for number 2, you have pure accidents. These situations can occur due to leaving a candle burning and it gets knocked over, or maybe a water pipe that bursts in a building. All right, so for number 3, I have fraudulent accidents. These are situations that are intentionally done to destroy property or cause fear. These are strategically planned events. An example would be setting a fire in a building. By doing so, it removes any trace of the original one-of-a-kind documents, paintings, books, journals, carvings, movies, etc. All right, in 4th position on the list, I have wars. During wars, people, buildings, statues, museums, archives get destroyed as collateral damage, or often on purpose. This is often a military strategy to demoralize a population by destroying cultural and historical icons and landmarks and replace them with the invading army's culture and values. What I'm going to show you now is how these wealthy individuals and these philanthropic organizations use their money and influence to spread the eugenic ideology within the United States and around the world. By doing so, they were able to appropriate the world's real history with their own version of whitewashed history. Now I'm going to have to condense this down so it won't be hours long. However, I will be creating a video to go more in depth on this topic. But for now, I'm just going to give you enough to show you how it happened. As I mentioned previously, there are 4 scenarios where a society or culture would have to recreate its history. The first 2, act of God and pure accidents, are viable scenarios that have occurred throughout history. Although one can take advantage of these two situations, I'm choosing not to focus on them for now. All right, so let me start with the third scenario. I named it fraudulent accidents. There have been many of these occurrences in American and European history. They mainly take the form of setting fire to buildings such as archives, libraries, museums, churches, or homes. Unfortunately, setting fire to a structure is easy and very inexpensive. It often has a desired effect of destroying much, if not all, of the contents within the structure. Once the contents in a building have been consumed by fire and destroyed, it is gone forever. If these items were one-of-a-kind originals like paintings, books, manuscripts, carvings, clothing, then they are lost for all time. If the items destroyed were able to be copied, like books for instance, then the information would still exist. Unfortunately, in the past, there were many important one-of-a-kind books. As you can imagine, this creates the perfect opportunity for whoever is in power to replace the items with whatever version they want. For instance, paintings can be recreated to reflect someone in the same pose, style of clothing, etc., but then be an entirely different person. Books can be recreated with the same stories, but with new engravings, pictures, and photos. Paintings that survived a fire and were just smoke damage can be overpainted. Overpainting was common in the past. What has also occurred over time is eugenics educators have convinced their students that certain words don't mean what they originally meant, like dark complexion, brown complexion, and brunette, or phrases like tall, dark, and handsome. Please understand that just about anything can be recreated by master craftsmen, publishers, painters, etc. This is what I'm suggesting happened. During times of chaos and confusion, like during the fog of war, where communities are being destroyed, many things can be accomplished, good or bad. So let's look at some of the places that were destroyed by fire in the United States. The first one I'd like to look at is the Library of Congress, which was destroyed by fire on October 8, 1814. According to the loc.gov website, which is the Library of Congress website, the library was destroyed along with the Capitol building stemming from the War of 1812. The British Army destroyed several buildings, the White House, the U.S. Treasury, U.S. Patent Office, and the National Intelligencer newspaper. After the fire, Thomas Jefferson offered to sell his private collection of over 6,000 books to replace the books that were lost, and eventually Congress purchased them. There was also a mystery surrounding the original collection of books and if they were actually saved or not. That said, I'm sure you can imagine that many one-of-a-kind items were destroyed, never to be replaced. I'm not as concerned with the first burning of the Library of Congress because, in my opinion, white supremacy had no major political power at that time, and historical whitewashing had not taken place yet in the United States or in Europe. All right, so moving along. According to accessiblearchives.com, in 1851, the Library of Congress was again ravaged by fire. 35,000 out of 55,000 books were destroyed, paintings, busts, manuscripts, letters, very valuable information was lost. Yet again, Congress had to appropriate funds to build a new collection. In my opinion, with each destructive fire comes the opportunity to change information or hide it like it never happened. Keep in mind, the people that were eyewitnesses to the historical events that were written about were generally dead years prior to the publishing of the text. So essentially, there is no one to protest if the recreated books have incorrect or misleading information. Here's an example for you. 4 valuable busts were destroyed in the second Library of Congress fire. They were likenesses of Washington, Jefferson, Lafayette, and General Taylor, all of whom had died years before. Now I'm suggesting when the busts got recreated, they were changed to look like the person that commissioned them wanted them to look like. All right, so take a look at this coin. It is the Indian head cent. According to wikipedia.com, it was created by James Barton Longacre. He was an American portraitist and engraver, and the 4th chief engineer of the United States Mint from 1844 until his death. Longacre is best known for his design of the Indian head cent, which entered commerce in 1859, and for the design of the shield nickel, flying eagle cent, and other coins of the mid-19th century. Reading from a paragraph from the website US Coins and Jewelry, it reads, "As we mentioned, this Indian head portrait, not a Native American profile, but apparently modeled after James Barton Longacre's daughter, Sarah. It is rumored that she was at the Mint visiting her father when she tried on the Indian headdress of Sitting Bull. Her father saw her and sketched her, hence the image of the obverse side of the coin was born." Of course, everyone knows Longacre's daughter did not represent what an Indian looked like. However, that's what was deemed acceptable by those in charge of the National Treasury. My point here, showing a misrepresentation of an American Indian on a national coin utilizing a young white girl was perfectly fine. This actually goes a long way in proving my point that if misrepresenting an entire group of people was okay for national circulated coins, then it should not be far-fetched to believe and understand that it occurred with many important people in our history books. Okay, so I spent a lot of time talking about these two fires at the Library of Congress. Let me tell you about some others within the United States and Europe. Remember, this is not a complete list. All right, so in 1865, the library on the University of Alabama's campus was destroyed, burning 7,000 volumes. In 1879, the Birmingham Central Library was destroyed by fire. 49,000 books were burned. In 1895, the University of Virginia Library at Charlottesville, Virginia was burned. Only 20% of the books and special collections survived. Then in 1911, the New York State Library burned. And in 1986, the Los Angeles Central Library caught fire. 400,000 books were destroyed. Also, keep in mind, whatever adorned the walls of these libraries.
And on some real too, this is also showing us why our people up north are the way they are. Maybe they was getting to the truth. Well, not getting to the truth. Maybe they was proclaiming their truth and they started burning shit. Burning New York and New York, Virginia, up north. They started burning that bitch down. Key places to get rid of history. That is crazy. They did the same shit in Chicago. Same shit happened in Charleston too. Straight up. All right, let's go.
Like paintings, for instance, were also destroyed. Now, moving over to Europe, fires destroyed the Mosque Library in Bulgaria in 1877. In 1914, the Library of the Catholic University in Belgium. In 1922, the Public Records Office in Dublin, Ireland. In 1931, several religious libraries in Madrid, Spain. In 1933, the Institute of Sexology in Berlin, Germany. In 1941, the National Library of Serbia in Belgrade. Also in 1941, the British National Central Library was seriously damaged from an air raid. In 1943, the SS Cyril and Methodist National Library in Bulgaria. In 1944, the National Library of Poland, the Warsaw University Library, and the Warsaw Public Library, along with the Central Archives of Historical Records in Warsaw. Again, please keep in mind this is totally not a complete list, just a small sample. According to a paper written in 2015, United Kingdom Libraries during World War II by Matthew Levitt, MLIS, Brigham Young University, he stated the British knew that their libraries would be targeted for destruction, so they purposely moved many thousands of books to safer locations. In my opinion, that means they had to choose which books, collections, and other works of art they had to save and which ones to leave behind. All right, so finally, let's look at the last scenario on my list of 4, which is war. I'm going to show you the Oxford Research Encyclopedia's website, oxfordre.com. On the webpage called American History, Urban Destruction During the Civil War by Megan Kate Nelson. It says, quote, during the American Civil War, Union and Confederate commanders made the capture and destruction of enemy cities a central feature of their military campaigns. They did so for 2 reasons. First, most mid-19th century cities had factories, foundries, and warehouses within their borders, churning out and storing war material. Military officials believed that if they interrupted or incapacitated the enemy's ability to arm or clothe themselves, the war would end. Second, it was believed that the widespread destruction of property, especially in major capital cities, would also damage civilians' morale, undermining their political convictions and decreasing their support for the war effort. Further down the page, under the heading Cities as Military Targets, it reads, the antebellum era was a time of rapid urbanization in the United States. Large, densely populated cities and towns had proliferated on both sides of the Mason-Dixon line by 1861. During the Civil War, Union and Confederate commanders made the capture or destruction of enemy cities a central feature of their campaigns. So she goes on to say why. Burning cities damaged civilian morale, quote, bringing the enemy to the point where it can go no further physically, emotionally, or ideologically. According to that same website, 11 southern cities were destroyed, the most notable being Richmond, Virginia, Charleston, South Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, and Columbia, South Carolina. Again, hundreds of thousands of documents, books, paintings, family heirlooms, etc. were lost. Not to mention the people that were killed that had institutional knowledge of what had occurred in the past, but also what was unfolding at that time. My thought pattern here, Much of the evidence of who was who and who did what in the past was lost. Now, I want you to guess who rebuilt the southern United States after the Reconstruction period failed. I'll tell you. The white supremacist, lost cause narrative veteran soldiers and their families that actually lost the Civil War. The caveat here that most don't realize, unless you've seen my video, The Black Southern Confederacy, is that the majority of Black veteran Confederates were excluded and erased from history books, their likenesses replaced by white people, thereby appropriating the true history with a white supremacist version. After approximately 10 years of Southern Reconstruction, federal Union troops had done their best to enforce the new regulations and constitutional laws put in place to bring about equality in the Southern states. During those 10 years, Black men were voted in and dominated many of the state and local legislatures due to their voting numbers. This, in my opinion, led to the white supremacist Confederate veterans having vengeance in their hearts and minds. Not only did they lose the war, now they had very little political control. As I mentioned earlier, they created the White Leagues and the KKK to terrorize, manipulate, and cheat Black Southerners out of their civil rights. These white supremacists systematically took over the political process, created the Black codes, and rebuilt the South with Black labor, and then influenced the rest of the country with their version of history through political domination. The final nail in the coffin having been struck by Republican Rutherford B. Hayes's Compromise of 1877. Okay, so moving on with the scenario of war and how eugenics whitewashed the history of European countries. World War I caused the destruction of four main empires, the German, Russian, Ottoman, and the Austro-Hungarian empires. Many centuries old.
Yo, y'all good out there? Y'all good? Y'all good? We almost an hour in with the video. Y'all good? Keep it rolling. I mean, what's up, man? Throw an arrow up in this motherfucker, man. Y'all want me to keep rolling, man? You know what I mean? I just want to make sure I don't get strike 2 for this shit, so.
Yeah. What it look like, man?
Listen, you know what it is.
Man, I feel the same way you feel.
Word.
I just don't want to
I
rush,
can't
man. I just want to take it one day at a time.
Me too.
That way we reach the highest point of friendship.
What's the highest point? Let me know.
Then whether, you know how far to take this flight.
That's what I'm talking
Word.
about.
You don't just jump in the plane and fly and don't know where you're going first. Just chill, baby. I got you.
We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you. We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Let's just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, come on, let me show you.
Bet. I just want to take a little pause, just trying to protect myself too, y'all.
The historical cities and landmarks were destroyed. So, who came to the rescue after all that destruction? Let's take a look. All right, so I'm going to read from the AmericanForeignRelations.com website. It goes on to read, between the wars, American foundations assumed an increasingly prominent role in the totality of American philanthropy, especially in cultural activities and healthcare. The Carnegie Endowment rebuilt libraries and supported large-scale academic studies of war. John D. Rockefeller Jr. built the League of Nations Library in Geneva, while the Rockefeller Foundation financed the foreign policy studies and international scholar exchanges. The Harkness family founded the Commonwealth Fund in 1918, which dedicated itself to the welfare of mankind. And in 1930, the Pilgrim Trust gave $10 million to Great Britain for its future well-being. The Rockefeller Foundation helped rebuild the University of Louvain and the Cathedral at Reims, and it underwrote the maintenance costs of Versailles and Fontainebleau as it expanded the American schools at Athens and Rome. Moreover, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Carnegie Corporation, and private individuals made sizable gifts to British, European, Canadian, and Mexican universities. Outside the Atlantic world, educational efforts were concentrated on the Near Eastern colleges, Hebrew University of Palestine, Chinese colleges, and surveys of educational programs in Africa and East Asia. James Loeb supported a psychiatric institute in Munich, and George Eastman provided dental clinics in a number of European capitals. The Rockefeller Foundation founded work on parasitic and infectious diseases when it established Peking Union Medical College. I previously mentioned the Harkness family. They owned the Standard Oil Company and obtained their wealth from drilling oil. There were also philanthropists that created the Commonwealth Fund 1918, which dedicated itself to the welfare of mankind. Not only that, they also created the Pilgrim Trust, which gave Great Britain $10 million for its future well-being. Sounds like a political payoff to me. Well, guess what? Both David B. Harkness and Edward S. Harkness were members of the American Eugenics Society. So, that said, I'm sure you can understand what they believed in. All right, so I'm going to move on to a website called jstor.org, JSTOR.org. And the heading of this particular article from that website is called The Rockefeller Foundation and the Transition from the League of Nations to the UN, 1939 to 1946, authored by Ludovic Tournees, sourced from the Journal of Modern European History. All right, so it goes on to read, the Rockefeller Foundation played an important role in the transition from the League of Nations to the United Nations through its collaborations with two international organizations. The first was the Economic, Financial, and Transit Department, EFTD, of the League of Nations. By financing its move to the United States and all of its work during the Second World War, the Rockefeller Foundation would allow it to make a major contribution to the reorganization of the global economic order after 1945. The second organization was the United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation Administration, UNRRA, which the Rockefeller Foundation provided with staff, work methods, and a network of contacts around the world. The Rockefeller Foundation was thus deeply involved in the redefinition of the overall structure of the system of international organizations during World War II. All right, so this next bit of information comes from the journals.sagepub.com under the heading American Library Association and the Post-World War II Rebuilding of Eastern European Libraries. All right, so it says the topic of the destruction of libraries during World War II has been well publicized. However, the American Library Association's assistance with the post-war cultural rehabilitation of Eastern European libraries remains relatively unknown. The paper examines the Aid to Libraries in War Areas program, funded by the Rockefeller Foundation and administered by the American Library Association, with respect to Eastern European countries, including Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Poland, Romania, Russia, and Yugoslavia. The program consisted of two parts. The first, which ran from 1941 to 1947, dealt with periodicals. The other, in operation from 1944 to 1947, focused on books. Its goal was to replenish, through a limited scale, devastated collections with American publications unavailable in most European and Asian libraries during Axis occupation. I just want to bring you back to where it says devastated collections were replaced with American publications unavailable to most of Europe and Asian libraries during Axis occupation. Call me cynical, but gee, I wonder what BS was contained in the replacement books. All right, so continuing on with the articles from jstor.org, here's a paragraph from an essay written by Charles.
Damn, I wasn't even unmuted. Y'all go subscribe to his channel, man. Straight up. This is my first time watching him. But he came up in my search on you know what I mean, in my search engine, he came up. So I gave him a try, man, and he dropping some fire. I like how he being non-biased, regardless. You gotta die as a hijack, regardless, y'all. But let's go.
John Ingsmeyer, probably butchered that. Realism, Naturalism in American Public Libraries, 1880 to 1914. All right, and it goes on to say, quote, yet somewhat surprisingly, given their significant impact on literary history, the distribution systems by which physical copies of realist and naturalist text in periodical and book form were transmitted from publishers and printers to readers have received little scholarly attention. One of the most important of these systems in the United States was the public library. The librarians and governing board members who controlled individual libraries played a major role in determining who had access to works of these genres, as well as in shaping readers' experiences of them. Nonetheless, beyond some oft-repeated stories about supposed censorship of a few especially controversial texts, almost no research has been carried out on how librarians in general actually treated the extremely broad range of realist and naturalist fictions and how their actions might have influenced library patrons' access to and attitudes towards such works. In my opinion, you can see that librarians and their governing boards were gateway keepers to what was purchased and visually consumed in these libraries. Let me ask you a question. If an organization builds and funds a library, do you think the people that get placed on the library board and the head librarian in charge of the library are in agreement with the philosophy of the organization that funded the project? I would have to answer with a resounding yes. All right, so now I'm going to show you a piece of information from the website located at library.columbia.edu. And it's under the heading Carnegie Corporation of New York, Historical Note. And it says, Carnegie Corporation of New York, which was established by Andrew Carnegie in 1911 to promote the advancement and diffusion of knowledge and understanding, is one of the oldest, largest, and most influential of American foundations. I'm going to skip down a paragraph to where it says, Carnegie Corporation has helped establish or endowed a variety of institutions, including the Carnegie Libraries, the National Research Council, the Russian Research Center at Harvard, and the Children's Television Workshop, and for many years heavily supported Carnegie's other philanthropic organizations, especially Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, CEIP, and the Carnegie Foundation for Advancement of Teaching, CFAT, and the Carnegie Institution of Washington, CIW. It has funded the writing of books and studies, as well as the organization of conferences and international exchanges, radio shows, legal proceedings, and other activities. Through its activities, the corporation has had a great impact on the information and knowledge available to citizens and government alike. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. Do you see what I just read? All right, so I'm going to read that section again. It says the corporation has had a great impact on the information and knowledge available to citizens and government alike. Folks, I can't make this stuff up. This is exactly how history was rewritten. All right, so back to the paragraph. It says, its work and that of its grantees has exerted a substantial influence on public discourse and policy. All right, folks, there it is again. Substantial influence on public discourse and policy. All right, so I'm going to skip down a little bit and go to the section where it says founding and early years. It goes on to read, by 1911, Andrew Carnegie had endowed 5 organizations in the United States and 3 in the United Kingdom, and had given away over $43 million for public library buildings and close to $110 million for other purposes. Nevertheless, 10 years after the sale of the Carnegie Steel Company, he still had more than $150 million and, at the age of 76, was tiring of the burden of philanthropic decision-making. Wow, must have been tough. On the advice of Elihu Root, a longtime friend, he decided to establish a trust to which he could transfer the bulk of his remaining fortune and, ultimately, the responsibility of distributing his wealth after his lifetime. Having already used the conventional labels for his previously endowed institutions, he selected corporation for this last and largest. It was chartered by the state of New York as Carnegie Corporation of New York. The corporation's capital fund, originally donated as a value of about $135 million, had a market value of $1.55 billion on March 31st, 1999. Then it says during 1911 and 1912, Carnegie gave the corporation $125 million, making it the largest single philanthropic trust ever established up to that time. As the residual legatee under his will, the corporation received an additional $10 million when the estate was settled. Carnegie earmarked a portion of the endowment to be used for philanthropic purposes in Canada and what were then the British colonies. This part of the endowment was first known as the Special Fund, then the British Dominions and Colonials Fund, and later the Commonwealth Program. Charter amendments have allowed the corporation to use 7.4% of its income in countries that are or have been members of the British Commonwealth. All right, so I'm getting to the end of this section, but let me show you this page that I got from History of Ireland, Winter 1998, Volume 6, page 25, by Brandon Grimes, published by World Weld Ltd. As you can see in the photo there, Bangor Library, County Down, designed by E.L. Wood, opened in 1910 as both a school and a library. All right, so the heading on this article is Carnegie Libraries in Ireland by Brandon Grimes. And it goes on to read, Andrew Carnegie, 1835 to 1919, immigrated with his parents from Scotland to America in 1848. He became exceptionally successful in the steel business, eventually gaining a near monopoly of steel production in the U.S. In 1901, he sold the Carnegie Corporation and all its holdings to John Pierpont Morgan's Federal Steel Company for $480 million. All right, so I'm going to skip down the paragraph to where it says, one of Carnegie's first gifts after he sold his company was $5,200,000.
Man, follow the money. How you people got this type of money? Huh? God damn. These boys dealing in millions in early 1900s? What the? Damn. Who they robbed?
To New York City for the construction of 65 branch libraries. Carnegie had given money for libraries before, but he was now to devote himself to a philanthropic career, and it was not long before Ireland was to benefit. By early 1905, he had pledged $39,325,240 for 1,200 libraries in English-speaking countries, and of this money, $598,000 was for Ireland. He and his trust were to finance more than twice that number before the library program came to an end. Estimates of the number of libraries he paid for vary between 2,500 and 2,509. It was not only the libraries that Carnegie was interested in. He endowed trusts for universities, the advancement of science, etc. His wealth was so vast and increasing from the interest on the capital that he found it difficult to match his philanthropic schemes with the money he had. I kind of like that he used the word schemes because that's exactly what he was up to. Between 1897 and 1913, he promised over $170,000 to pay for the building of about 80 libraries in Ireland. 66 of the libraries were built and 62 of them have survived. Although the money that Carnegie gave for Irish libraries was small in proportion to his total expenditure, it greatly helped the library movement in Ireland.
What am I gonna be talking about? Rockefeller this, Rockefeller that, these person this person that. Boy, this is the beginning of it.
1919, 81% of the towns in Ireland which had rate-supported libraries received contributions from Carnegie. This compares with 65% for Scotland and 49% for England and Wales. All right, folks, what I'm showing here is the very philanthropists that were financing eugenics in the United States, Europe, and other countries like Mexico were allowed to rebuild the libraries and collections of these devastated countries that had been destroyed by war. These foreign countries allow these philanthropists to use their money to buy their way into being allowed to recreate these libraries with eugenics at the core. Controlling access to information was given to philanthropists who were ardent eugenicists. Why were these wealthy individuals so intent on helping foreign countries rebuild their libraries and institutions of knowledge? I believe they wanted to ensure Europe's rewritten history agreed with the United States' rewritten version of history. To ensure that happened, they had to be in full control of the information these countries received and excluded. How better to do that than by financing the entire endeavor? These philanthropists essentially were in control of what Europeans thought about not only their history, but also American history. Remember, much of early American history is intertwined with European history. Let me reiterate, these wealthy eugenicists were able to recreate European history and US history, and they did so by funding libraries, universities, and other centers of knowledge on both continents under the guise of philanthropy. Okay, so this is just a small fraction of information on how the negative eugenics ideology was spread from the United States to Europe and around the world. I will definitely be going more in depth with future videos. All right, so now I'm going to change gears and I'm going to talk about the people responsible for eugenics and our rewritten history. The people that had something to hide have actually hidden what they don't want you to see. And to keep the false narrative going, they continue to hide the information. The real issue is who controls the information and who has access to the information. Papers, books, recordings, newspapers, journals, all can be altered, destroyed, or hidden. As I mentioned earlier, currently in Florida, Governor DeSantis ordered books to be taken off the shelves because they were deemed offensive, along with removing curriculum regarding Black American history. This has caused a serious outcry from thousands of teachers and Floridians, not to mention other concerned American citizens. The sad thing is, I'm not surprised by this move. It's already been done in the past. DeSantis is just taking a move out of a very old playbook. Since the end of Reconstruction, Congress, along with the Republican Party, which was the party that implemented Reconstruction, photo their hands, and let the very individuals that try to divide the country with the secession movement back into the seats of power to exact their revenge and set up society as to never again allow people of color, aka Black people, to return to power. If I am confusing you when I say Black people returning to power, that means you haven't watched my previous videos. So do me a favor and please check them out so you will be caught up with my other channel subscribers. All right, folks, take a deep breath. If you need an intermission, I get it. It's a lot of information. Maybe pause the video, get some munchies, and come back for the second half. All right, so I'm going to be continuing with Mr. Black's book. You may consider this part 2 of the video. I'm going to go into chapter 5 of the book called Legitimizing Raceology. This chapter covers a lot of the perpetrators of eugenics. On page 85, Black writes about Kansas physician F. Hoyt Plitcher, who became the first in modern times to castrate to prevent procreation. In the mid-1890s, Dr. Plitcher, superintendent of the Kansas Home for the Feeble-Minded, surgically asexualized 58 children. Plitcher's procedure was undertaken without legal sanction. Once discovered, Kansas citizens broadly condemned his actions, demanding he stop. The Kansas Home Embattled Board of Trustees suspended Plitcher's operations, but staunchly defended his work. The board defiantly proclaimed, quote, "Those who are now criticizing Dr. Plitcher will, in a few years, be talking of erecting a monument to his memory," end quote. Later, Dr. Plitcher's National Association of Institution of Directors praised him as courageous and as a pioneer, strong enough to face ignorance and prejudice. Then also on page 85, we have Dr. Harry Clay Sharp, physician at an Indiana reformatory at Jeffersonville. In early 1899, he read an article in the Journal of American Medical Association by distinguished Chicago physician Albert John Ochsner, who later co-founded the American College of Surgeons. Dr. Ochsner advocated compulsory vasectomy of prisoners to eliminate all habitual criminals from the possibility of having children. In this way, Ochsner hoped to reduce not only the number of born criminals, but also chronic inebriates, imbeciles, perverts, and paupers. It goes on to read, the Indiana prison doctor proudly lectured his colleagues about the procedure's advantage in a 1902 article in the New York Medical Journal. He presented the surgery strictly as a tool for human breeding. Quoting an old essay, Sharp railed, "We make the choice of the best rams of our sheep and keep the best dogs. How carefully then should we be in begetting children?" Sharp's article described his method of instructive clinical detail, yet involuntary sterilization was still not legal and was thought by many to be unconstitutional. So he urged his fellow institutional doctors to lobby for both restrictive marriage laws and legal authority for every institutional director in every state to render every male sterile who passes its portals, whether it be in an almshouse, insane asylum, institute for feeble-minded, reformatory, or prison. Sharp declared that widespread sterilization was the only rational means of eradicating from our midst a most dangerous and hurtful class. Radical methods are necessary. All right, so I'm now turning to page 87, which reads, biologist David Starr Jordan, president of the University of Indiana, conceived that paupers were indeed parasites. As McCulloch so fervently claimed, Jordan lectured his students and faculty to accept that some men were dwarfs in body and mind. Quickly, Jordan became America's first eminent eugenic theorist. His 1902 book, Blood of a Nation, first articulated the concept of blood as the immutable base of race. He readily proclaimed, quote, "The pauper is the victim of heredity, but neither nature nor society recognizes that as an excuse for his existence," end quote. Jordan left Indiana in 1891 to become the first president of the newly created Stanford University, founded by the estate of wealthy railroad entrepreneur Leland Stanford. While at Stanford, Jordan used his position to further champion the eugenic cause, damning paupers in his writings and leading like-minded elite in national eugenic organizations. On January 29, 1907, the state of Indiana passed a bill making them the first jurisdiction in the world to legislate forced sterilization of its mentally impaired patients, poorhouse residents, and prisoners. Dr. Henry Clay Sharp's knife would now be one of a multitude, and the practice would crisscross the United States. Page 88. Okay, so I just read you that in 1907, the state of Indiana began forcibly sterilizing prisoners. Question for you, who do you think the majority of the prisoners were? All right, so moving on to page 89, it states, 3 states did ratify eugenic sterilization in 1909. Washington targeted habitual criminals and rapists, mandating sterilization as additional punishment for the prevention of procreation. Connecticut enacted a law permitting the medical staff at 2 asylums, Middletown and Norwich, to examine patients and their family trees to determine if feeble-minded and insane patients should be sterilized. The physicians were permitted to perform either vasectomies on.
All right, y'all. So check it now. They're doing family trees. So the only way you can do family trees, you got to have genealogy. It ain't no DNA testing now. So how could y'all not stand on genealogy and talk about what grandma said and all this shit right here? You know what I mean? How the fuck could you not say that when you see in the head of eugenics, the procreators pretty much a DNA is using genealogy
on males or ovarectomies on women. California was the 3rd state to adopt forced sterilization in 1909. Chapter 720 of the state's statutory code permitted castration or sterilization of state convicts and the residents of California Home for the Care and Training of Feeble-Minded Children in Sonoma County. 2 institutional bureaucrats could recommend the procedure if they deemed it beneficial to the subject's physical, mental, and moral condition. During the next 2 years, more states attempted to enact eugenic sterilization laws. Efforts in Virginia to pass House Bill 96, calling for the sterilization of all criminals, imbeciles, and idiots in the custody when approved by a committee of experts, died in the legislature. But efforts in other states were successful. Nevada targeted habitual criminals. Iowa authorized the operation of criminals, idiots, feeble-minded, imbeciles, drunkards, drug fiends, epileptics, plus moral or sexual perverts in its custody. The Iowa Act was tacked on to a prostitution law. Reading further onto page 89, it states, New Jersey's legislation was passed in 1911. Chapter 190 of its statutory code created a special 3-man board of examiners of the feeble-minded, epileptics, and other defectives. The board would systematically identify when procreation was inadvisable for prisoners and children residing in poorhouses and other charitable institutions. The law included not only the feeble-minded, epileptic, and certain criminals, but also a class ambiguously referred to as other defectives. Other defectives could be anyone they didn't like. Guess who signed the New Jersey's eugenics bill into law the year before being sworn in as President of the United States? Yours truly, Woodrow Wilson. Continuing on page 90, New York was next. In April of 1912, New York amended its public health law with Chapter 445, which virtually duplicated New Jersey's eugenic legislation. New York law created its own board of examiners for feeble-minded, epileptics, and other defectives, comprised of a neurologist, a surgeon, and a general physician. Any 2 of the 3 examiners could rule whether family history, feeble-mindedness, inherited tendency, or other factors proved that procreation was inadvisable for the patients or prisoners they reviewed. Once again, a so-called patient attorney was to be appointed by the court. Vasectomies, tubal ligations, and full castrations were authorized at the discretion of the board. I won't go through all the states that adopted these laws. Nonetheless, many states followed in the coming years. On page 91, it reads, eugenicists in other countries who had been corresponding together for some years also felt the need to broaden acceptance of their beliefs.
Hold on, y'all, real quick. Let me go back to that map real quick. Let me try to get the map real quick.
Once again, a so-called patient attorney was to be appointed by the court. Vasectomies, tubal ligations, and full castrations were authorized at the discretion of the board. I won't go through all.
So y'all notice the Southeast ain't even touched, right? All these places where eugenics is being done at are places where these institutions and colleges are at. The same ones who we see today with the indoctrination trying to tell us who the fuck we is. When after watching this right here, they don't know who the fuck they is. Seriously. And if they watch this, man, shit, they'll know why all they ass come from South Carolina and the South. The Southeast, Southwest, South, Midwest, all that. They're going to see why they come there, because we wasn't sterilized.
All the states that adopted these laws, nonetheless, many states followed in the coming years. On page 91, it reads, eugenicists in other countries who had been corresponding together for some years also felt the need to broaden acceptance of their beliefs. All of them wanted eugenic solutions to be applied on a global basis. Their mission, after all, was to completely reshape humanity, not just one corner of it. Toward this end, the Americans worked closely with their counterparts in Germany and England, scheduled an international conference in London. July 1912 was selected because it coincided with a visit to London by Stanford University's Jordan and other eugenic leaders. By now, America's negative eugenics had also been purveyed to like-minded social engineers throughout Europe, especially in Germany and the Scandinavian nations, where theories about Nordic superiority were well received. Hence, this first conference was aptly called the First International Congress on Eugenics, bringing together some several hundred delegates and speakers from across America, Belgium, England, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Spain, and Norway. As I've been preaching in all my videos, many countries use this ideology to get rid of the people they didn't like systematically, thereby reshaping their countries into what they wanted them to be, white-run countries. Please check out my video called Vanishing Black History. In that video, I show how the United States government created its own history and how they exported it to other countries for consumption, thereby creating a blueprint for those countries to emulate, just like Hitler emulated the United States using the eugenics model. All right, so on page 94 it reads, some 400 delegates from America and Europe gathered at the University of London in late July of 1912, where for 5 days a diverse assemblage of research papers were presented exploring the social science and heredity of man. 2 French doctors reviewed Parisian insanity records for the previous half-century. Alcoholism as an inheritable trait was debated, but the proceedings were dominated by the U.S. contingent and their theories of racial eugenics. So the U.S. was not just content on just targeting the feeble-minded or imbeciles. They used it to go after people they considered non-white. It was basically the slippery slope theory. And that theory states, using an idea or course of action which eventually leads to something unacceptable, wrong, or disastrous. And that's from the Oxford Online Languages Dictionary. All right, so continuing on to page 94, it states, the medical establishment began to take notice as well, presenting eugenics as a legitimate medical concept. The Journal of the American Medical Association's coverage glowed. JAMA's headline rang out, quote, the International Eugenics Congress, an event of great importance to the history of evolution, has taken place, end quote. Its correspondent enthusiastically portrayed the eugenics theory of social Darwinism, spotlighting the destructive quality of charity and stressing the value of disease to the natural order. Charles Davenport, a biologist and eugenics promoter, authored a textbook along with several others. On page 96, it reads, methodically, eugenic texts, especially Davenport's, were integrated into college coursework and in some cases actually spurred a standalone eugenics curriculum. The roster was long and prestigious, encompassing scores of America's finest schools. Harvard University's 2 courses were taught by Drs. East and Castle. Princeton University courses were taught by Dr. Scull and Laughlin himself. Yale's by Dr. Painter, Purdue's by Dr. Smith, the University of Chicago's by Dr. Bish, Northeastern University, a hotbed of radical eugenic thought, offered a course by Dr. Kornhauser, who had interned at Cold Spring Harbor. All right, so continue on page 96. Eugenics rocketed through academia, becoming an institution virtually overnight. By 1914, some 44 major institutions offered eugenic instruction. Within a decade, that number would swell to hundreds, reaching some 20,000 students annually. High schools quickly adopted eugenic textbooks as well. Typical was George William Hunter's high school biology book, published by the nation's largest secondary school book publisher, the American Book Company. Hunter's 1914 textbook, A Civic Biology, presented in problems, echoed many of Davenport's principles. For example, in one passage, Hunter railed against unfit families spreading disease, immorality, and crime to all parts of the country. His text added, quote, largely for them, the poorhouse and the asylum exist. They take from society, but they give nothing in return. They are true parasites. Before long, the overwhelming majority of high schools employed eugenic textbooks that emphasize clear distinctions between superior families and inferior families. I believe this is what many of our great-grandparents grew up learning and believing. Here's something you may find very interesting. On page 97, a man named Henry Goddard, a psychologist and ardent eugenics crusader who became the movement's leading warrior against the feeble-minded. In New Jersey in 1906, Goddard was hired to direct the research laboratory at the Vineland Training School for Feeble-Minded Girls and Boys in Vineland, New Jersey. Then in 1913, Goddard published an influential book in the eugenics world, The Kallikak Family, a study in the heredity of feeble-mindedness. In the tradition of the Jukes and the tribal Ishmael, Goddard traced the ancestry, immorality, and social menace of a large family he named the Kallikaks. He created a surname by combining the Greek words for beauty and bad. The story of the Kallikaks presented more than just another defective family patriarch, Martin Kallikak, from the Revolutionary War era. Was actually a splendid eugenic specimen who fathered an illustrious line of American descendants by his legitimate and eugenically sound Quaker wife. But Goddard claimed that the same Martin Kallikak had also engaged in an illicit affair with a feeble-minded girl, which spawned a race of defective degenerates, foreshadowing a philosophy that low intelligence was a hereditary curse. Goddard wrote that bad Kallikaks were feeble-minded, and no amount of education or good environment can change a feeble-minded individual into a normal one, any more than it can change a red-haired stock into a black-haired stock. To drive his point home, Goddard included a series of photographs of nefarious-looking and supposedly defective Kallikak family members. These photos had been doctored, darkening and distorting the eyes, mouths, and eyebrows, nose, and other facial features to make the adults and children appear stupid. Although retouching published photos was common during this era, the consistent addition of sinister features allowed Goddard to effectively portray the Kallikaks as mental and social defectives. All right, so let me comment on this section. Do you see where I read that retouching photos was common during this era? This goes to my point in previous videos when I assert that photos have been altered, replaced, etc. Many commenters on my videos believe that historical photos were not able to be manipulated back then. This is far from the truth. Photos had begun being manipulated in the mid-1800s. By the early 1900s, many photographers were very adept at manipulating photos. Anyway, back to Henry Goddard. On page 98, it states, mass sterilization, in Goddard's view, was merely the first step in corralling the feeble-minded. Sterilization did not diminish sexual function, just reproductive capability. His answer, mass incarceration in special colonies. Segregation through colonization seems in the present state of our knowledge to be the ideal and perfectly satisfactory method. On page 99, it states, Goddard coining a new word, moron. It was derived from moros, Greek for stupid and foolish. By 1913, he had taken his new intelligence test and a team of testers to Ellis Island to conduct experiments. American eugenicists long believed that the majority of immigrants, especially brown-haired Irish, Eastern European Jews, and Southeastern Italians, were genetically defective. He explained, it should be noted that the immigration of recent years is of a decidedly different character from the earlier immigration. It is no longer representative of the respective races. It is admitted on all sides that we are now getting the poorest of each race. On page 100, it states, Chicago Municipal Chief Judge Harry Olson, responsible for sentencing prisoners to the House of Corrections, was a revered leader of the eugenics movement. At the time of the House of the Correction study, he reminded colleagues, quote, we have laid too great importance on the environmental factors and paid too little attention to the problem of heredity, end quote. On the same page, it continues on to say, mental tests applied to Blacks led to an article in the Archives of Psychology reporting that when 486 whites and 907 Blacks were examined, Blacks scored only 3/4 as well as their white counterparts. The article noted that pure Blacks tested the lowest, about 60% lower than whites. But as the amount of white blood increased in their ancestry, so did their test scores. It does not seem possible to raise the scholastic attainments of the Negro. It is probable that no expenditure of time or money would accomplish this end, since education cannot create mental power. Then on to page 101, it reads, quote, Harvard psychologist Robert Yerkes was a leading eugenic theorist and a former student of Davenport's. Yerkes was a member of many elite eugenic committees, including a committee on the inheritance of mental traits and the committee on the genetic basis of human behavior. 2 years after helping invent the point scale, Yerkes became president of the American Psychological Association. Europe exploded into the war in 1914. America did not join the fray until 1917, but when it did, Washington struggled to classify more than 3 million drafted and enlisted soldiers. American Psychological Association President Yerkes pleaded for intelligence testing. He gathered Goddard and Stanford University eugenic activist Louis Terman and others to help develop standardized examinations. Working from May to July of 1917 at Goddard's laboratory at the Vineland Training School for Feeble-Minded Girls and Boys in New Jersey, these eugenic psychologists and others jointly developed what they portrayed as scientifically designed Army intelligence tests. These were submitted to the Army and the Surgeon General, soon authorizing mass testing.
All right, so check it. In my other eugenics films, man, the other one, it showed you that they gave a test, asking them about who the hell, what kind of engine is in a Model T car, and if you wasn't in that field, how could you answer that question correctly? And which led to the IQ test. What he said at the beginning of this is what led to the IQ test. So if they are testing American Indians, they're gonna fail at every goddamn thing that they're questioning. So we get mixed up in this shit too, man. Another way of taking your property. Let's go.
Two main tests were devised. The written Army Alpha test for English-speaking literate men, and the pictorial Army Beta test for those who could not read or speak English. The Alpha test multiple choice questions could certainly be answered by sophisticated urbanites familiar with the country's latest consumer products, popular art, and entertainment.
Damn, that's crazy. I just got through saying that. I didn't know he was going to touch in on that shit, but here we go.
Yet most of America's draftees hailed from unsophisticated rural society. Large numbers of them had never been off the farm. Many came from insular religious families, which disdained theater, slick magazines, and smoking. No matter, the mental capacity of everyone who could read and write was measured by the same pop culture yardstick. Take a look at several examples of these questions provided from the book. The first one says, question, 500 is played with.
All right, y'all see this? This the written question now. Becky Sharp appears in possible answer, Vanity Fair, Romula, The Christmas Carol, Henry IV. How would you notice if you... A Pace Arrow car is made in what? Get the fuck out of here.
Then possible answers, brackets, pins, cards, dice, correct response, cards. Second one there, it says question, Becky Sharp appears in possible answers.
And if this didn't do, they'll give you some drawing and shit. So where they'll put a hand up and only have 3 fingers up. You have your thumb, but 3 fingers up, and you missing the 4th finger. What if you been born without that finger? Damn.
Vanity Fair, Romola, The Christmas Carol, Henry V. Correct response, Vanity Fair. Next one, question. The Pierce Arrow car is made in possible answers, Buffalo, Detroit, Toledo, Flint. Correct response, Buffalo. Next question is Marguerite Clark is known as a possible answer, suffragist, singer, movie actress, writer. Correct response, movie actress. Next question. Velvet Joe appears in the advertisement for possible answers, tooth powder, dry goods, tobacco, soap. Correct response, tobacco. All right, so for the last question, it says, hasn't scratched yet is used in advertising A, possible answers, drink, revolver, flour, cleanser. Correct response, cleanser. All right, so the book goes on to read, Americans and naturalized immigrants who could neither read nor write English were administered the Beta picture exam. For example, Beta Test 6 offered 20 simple sketches with something missing. Fix it, the subject was instructed. He was then expected to pencil in the missing element. Bowling balls were missing from a bowling lane. The center net was subtracted from the tennis court. The incandescent filament was erased from the light bulb. A stamp was missing from a postcard. The upper left diamond was missing from a sketch of the Jack of Diamonds on a playing card. All right, so moving on to page 102, predictable. Yerkes' results from all 3 tests identified vast numbers of morons among the eugenically inferior groups so that Yerkes asserted the army could not afford to reject all of them and still go to war. It would be totally impossible to exclude all morons, reported Yerkes, because 47% of whites and 89% of Negroes were shown to have a mental capacity below that of a 13-year-old. All right, so let me comment here real quick. We can see that the Army tests, they were rigged in favor of the well-educated, wealthy elite, not the average man that was signing up to be drafted into military service. Remember, there was no social media during those times. To stay up to date with current events and happenings, you would have to have been subscribed to multiple newspapers and magazines and have actually had the time to read them, which most hardworking Americans had very little of. According to the National Center of Education Statistics, the literacy rate in the early 1900s was very low, especially among foreign-born immigrants and Black Americans. All right, so getting back to the book, it says, in 1912, the German psychologist William Stern had begun referring to the original intelligence level as an intelligence age. Stern went further, dividing the intelligence age by the chronological age to create a ratio. In doing so, he coined the term intelligence quotient. In 1916, used the Stanford-Binet test, determined divided mental age by chronological age, and then multiplied by 100. This became the American version of the intelligence quotient. Terman nicknamed it IQ. The moniker became an instant icon of intelligence. Scales and rankings were devised. Those classified below a certain level, 70 scale points, were graded as either morons, imbeciles, or idiots. Feeble-mindedness had now a number. Soon everyone would receive one. Terman knew how such a number would be used. While studying California public school children, he argued, quote, if we would preserve our state for a class of people worthy of possessing it, we must prevent as far as possible the propagation of mental degenerates. Yerkes' work was advanced by another eugenic activist, Princeton psychologist Carl Brigham. A radical raceologist, Brigham analyzed Yerkes' findings for the world at large, casting them as eugenic evidence of Nordic supremacy and the racial inferiority of virtually everyone else. Brigham's
I hope that ain't Brigham Young. But man, y'all feeling it so far, man? I just want to make sure we keep taking a little break every now and then, man, just so we, you know what I mean, so the dog don't get flagged too. You know what I mean? For sure. Word. We got about what, 20 minutes? 25 minutes left, man. Well, y'all want to go ahead and finish it out?
1922 book, a study of the American intelligence, published by no less than Princeton University Press, openly conceded that the volume was based on two earlier raceological books, Madison Grant's virulently racist Passing of the Great Race and William Ripley's equally biased Races of Europe. On page 103, it continues, the decline of intelligence is due to two factors, the change in the races migrating to this country and to the additional factor of sending of the lower and lower representatives of each race. The conclusion that our test results indicate a genuine intellectual superiority of the Nordic group over the Alpine and Mediterranean groups. According to Brigham, Negro intelligence was predestined by racial heredity, but could be improved by the greater amount of admixture of white blood. Brigham concluded, according to all the evidence available then, American intelligence was declining and will proceed with an accelerated rate as the racial admixture becomes more and more extensive. The decline in American intelligence will become more rapid than the decline of the intelligence of European national groups, he warned. Owing to the presence here of the Negro, he added, the results which we obtained by interpreting the Army data support Mr. Madison Grant's thesis of the superiority of the Nordic type. Quickly, a study of the American intelligence became a scientific standard. Shortly after its publication, Brigham adapted the Army Alpha test for use as a college entrance exam. It was first administered to Princeton freshmen applicants to Cooper University. Later, the College Board asked Brigham to head a committee to create a qualifying test for other private colleges in the Northeast and eventually across the country. Brigham's effort produced the Scholastic Aptitude Test, administered mainly to upper middle-class white students. The test quickly became known as the SAT and was eventually employed at colleges across the country. Over time, more and more colleges required high school students to take the test and score high enough to qualify for application.
All right. So right now, after watching this, you can tell these motherfuckers keep y'all fucking testing, because y'all testing is testing for you fucking genics. This shit here is deep. You know what I mean? I knew about a lot of this, but he bringing it even more in the depth. And it's crazy because there goes the SAT. You got to use this to get into college. If you don't take the SAT, if you're an athlete, oh, they got a special test for you too. Call it ACT. I took the SAT to get into college. I scored a 980 on that son bitch on the SAT. But that's crazy. Now I see why I scored a 980, because shit, I love to read in school. You know what I mean? Once I got to a certain point, like, boy, you got to get the hell up out of here. After 2 years of getting expelled back to back, you know what I mean? I had to get up out of there, and became All-American after that. You know what I mean? So shit, I had to get up out there. So studying for the SAT, shit, it was pretty much the same shit that they was teaching us in school. So that's probably why I scored so damn high. Let's go, y'all. Just want to take another break. Let's get it done.
Flawed roots of the IQ test, the SAT, and most other American intelligence tests were more than apparent to many thinking people of the period. It became glaringly obvious that the tests were vehicles of cultural exclusion. Poor-scoring Southern Italian immigrants who had not known who the latest Broadway stars were or which brands of flour were popular. They were, however, steeped in the auris of operatic masters and the arts in general, and had discovered the secrets of fine cooking centuries before. Jews who were overwhelmingly scored as moronic were often only literate in Yiddish, but they enjoyed a rich tradition of Talmudic scholarship that debated to abstraction the
Jews who were overwhelmingly scored as moronic were often only literate in Yiddish. Why these Jews speaking in Yiddish? But they know the Talmudic scholarship. Ooh.
The very essence of life and God's will. Farm boys may not have been aware that Velvet Joe was a cigarette advertising character, but they grasped the intricate agrarian tenets of growing and curing tobacco leaves to produce the perfect smoke. Blacks might not have been able to decipher the reading, writing, and arithmetic denied to them by a discriminatory educational system intent on keeping them illiterate. They may not have been able to comprehend the first thing about tennis nets, bowling lanes, and incandescent light bulbs, but the descendants of men and women ripped from Africa had cultivated a rich oral storytelling tradition, an intense, almost enraptured scriptural quoting religion, and as a group, they would originate the revolutionary music that would dominate the 20th century. Okay, so I have two issues here. First of all, Mr. Black, like so many researchers, failed to acknowledge that labeling all people with dark skin as African is ignorant and frankly lazy scholarship. Presently, we know that people with dark skin are present and have been present.
Oh yeah, bro. Yep, I was an All-American, man. I led it in all three sports. I played football, basketball, and baseball. I led it in all three sports. Man, if I wouldn't have hurt myself at a camp at the end of my senior year, man, when I was meeting with these college coaches, if I didn't hurt myself in that College of Charleston camp, which my coach didn't know at the time, I made the McDonald's All-American team from down here, man. I would have been on the team with Steven Jackson, Kobe Bryant, all them boys, the Lester Earl. Not on the team, but I would have been in that game with them boys, man. But I hurt myself, so they just put me on the honorable mention team. So if I got well and somebody else got hurt, then I would have replaced them if it was a guard. But it was so much guards on that team. So yeah, bro. I was an All-American starting quarterback in football. I played damn near every position in baseball, pitching. I played everything in baseball. Yeah, but yeah, All-American. I even wrestled one year. My freshman year, I wrestled.
On all continents, with the exception of Antarctica. Secondly, people of color have always dominated music prior to the 20th century. So yeah, miss me on that one. Now, I did warn you in the beginning of this video that I had some issues with this book as it pertained to people of color, aka Black people. All right, so back to the book where it continues on about Black Americans. It goes on to say, perhaps most remarkably, they were smart enough to stay alive in a world where an uppity Black man with too much on the ball or too much spring in his step could be lynched for looking in the wrong direction or asking too many questions. On page 105, it states, in 1929, Brigham finally rejected those scholarly publications that asserted a racial basis for intelligence, including his own. Whether out of shame or embarrassment, the Princeton scholar submitted, quote, comparative studies of various national and racial groups may not be made with existing tests. One of the most pretentious of these comparative racial studies, the writer's own, was without foundation, end quote. Here's another quote. It says, meaningful as they were to the history of science, the several quiet recantations were published in obscure medical and scholarly journals. Academia could relish the debate and savor the progress, but the system hewn in stone by the eugenics movement's intelligence warriors has stubbornly remained in place to this day. By the time some scientists saw the folly of their fiction, the politicians, legislators, educators, and social workers who had adopted eugenic intelligence notions as firm science had enacted laws, procedures, systems, and policies to enforce their tenets. Quiet apologies came too late for thousands of Americans who would be chased down by quotants, scales, and derisive labels eugenics had branded upon them. No longer constrained by newness or lack of scientific proof, the eugenic crusade blitzed across America. The weak, the socially maligned, the defenseless, and the scientifically indefensible of America's lowest biological caste would now be sterilized by the thousands, and in some cases, euthanized. All right, so moving on to chapter 6, called The United States of Sterilization. On page 107, it says, quote, during the years bracketing World War I, a potent, if unsound, intelligence classification system was taking root. A patchwork of largely inert state sterilization laws awaited greater validation. The elite thinkers of American medicine, science, and higher education were busy expanding the body of eugenic knowledge and evangelizing its tenets. However, the moment had still not arrived for eugenic rhetoric to massively impact the country. During these percolating years, Davenport and Laughlin continued to prepare the groundwork. They knew humanity could not be recreated overnight. They were patient men. All right, so let me comment here. Do you see where Mr. Black states, quote, they knew humanity could not be recreated overnight. They were patient men. This, in my estimation, was the groundwork for our rewritten history. These ardent eugenicists in key positions throughout the country and the world slowly manipulated and strategized their way into changing the United States going forward. Okay, so continuing on to page 107, during the war years, eugenic organizations proliferated in America. Like-minded citizens found ethnic solace and even self-vindication in the idea of biological superiority. The Race Betterment Foundation was among the leading eugenic organizations that sprouted around the country to augment the work at Cold Spring Harbor. The society was founded by yet another wealthy American, Dr. John Harvey Kellogg of Battle Creek, Michigan. Dr. Kellogg was a member of the State Board of Health and operated a healthy sanitarium renowned for its alternative and fanciful food regimens. He had developed for his patients a natural product, a cereal made of wheat flakes. In 1898, Dr. Kellogg's brother, Will, created the cornflake, and in 1906, he began selling it commercially through a company that would ultimately become the cereal giant known as Kellogg Company. In the same year, Dr. Kellogg founded the Race Betterment Foundation to help stop the propagation of defectives. The Race Betterment Foundation attracted some of the most radical elements of the eugenics community. The organization wanted to compile its own eugenic registry, listing the backgrounds of as many Americans as possible. This to augment the one being developed by the Eugenics Record Office. In 1914, Dr. Kellogg organized the first Race Betterment Conference in Battle Creek, Michigan. The conference's purpose was to lay the foundations for the creation of a super race amid an atmosphere of lavish banquets, stirring calls to biological action, and scientific grandiloquence. We have wonderful new races of horses, cows, pigs, argued Dr. Kellogg. Why should we not have a new and improved race of men? He wanted the white races of Europe to establish a race of human thoroughbreds. Davenport told the Battle Creek conferences that this could be accomplished by working quietly with the heads of state institutions. The superintendents of state institutions, he explained, were very desirous of assistance. All right, folks, just as a side note, this previous statement shows the collusion of these superintendents on behalf of eugenics to further white superiority. Let me ask you, where did it stop? There were people believing this nonsense at all levels of society. Again, this is how we got the false history and education we are given today. Just let that sink in for a minute. Okay, getting back to the book, it states, whatever restraint Laughlin used in his formal writings was absent from his speeches to the eugenic vanguard. Laughlin boldly put the Battle Creek gathering on notice. Quote, to purify the breeding stock of the race at all costs is the slogan of eugenics, end quote. His three-pronged program was based on sterilization, mass incarceration, and sweeping immigration restrictions. Okay, sorry for chiming in again so soon. However, based on what I just read, it occurred to me that we have mass incarceration and immigration restrictions going on today. I guess the plan is still in place, right? All right, so getting back to the book, it says, at the second Race Betterment Conference held the next year, ERO scientific director Irving Fisher, a Yale University economist, was equally blunt. Quote, gentlemen and ladies, end quote, Fisher sermonized. Quote, you have not any idea unless you have studied the subject mathematically, how rapidly we could exterminate this contamination if we really got at it, or how rapidly the contamination goes on if we do not get at it. All right, moving on to page 109.
Yeah, Kellogg, man. And Race Betterment. Yeah. We got 15 minutes more, man. We're going to rock all this,
man. Eugenic extremism enjoyed layer upon layer of scientific veneer, not only because eminent scholars enunciated its doctrine and advanced its solutions, but also by virtue of its numerous respected research bodies. The Eugenics Record Office had inaugurated a board of scientific directors in December of 1912. The board was initially comprised of Davenport, plus eminent Harvard neuropathologist E.E. Southard, Alexander Graham Bell, and renowned Johns Hopkins University pathologist William Welsh. Welsh enjoyed impeccable qualifications. He had served as both the first scientific director of the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research and as a trustee of the Carnegie Institution. Moreover, before and during his term on the ERO's scientific board, Welsh was also elected president of the American Association for the Advancement of Sciences, the American Medical Association, and the National Academy of Science. Understandably, Laughlin and Davenport felt only fitting that he should serve as chairman of the ERO's Board of Scientific Directors. Among the biological issues the board identified as vital were the, quote, consequences of marriages between distinct races, miscegenation, end quote. And again, another quote, the study of America's most effective bloodlines, end quote, as well as restricting the strains that require state care. The board also sought to examine the ancestral caliber of immigrants being allowed into the country. As usual, feeble-mindedness took the spotlight. Several key regions of the East Coast were targeted for investigation. Perhaps the most militant of the eugenic research bodies was the Eugenics Research Association, created in June of 1913 at Cold Spring Harbor. The body was determined to escalate its research into legislative and administrative action and public propaganda for the causes of eugenics, raceology, and the Nordic race supremacy. As such, the Eugenics Research Association brought together America's most esteemed eugenic medical practitioners, the field's most respected university professors, the movement's most intellectual theorists, and the nation's most rabid eugenic racists. Only 51 charter members created the ERA, and its ranks did not exceed 500 in the later years. Those 51 charter members included men and women from the senior echelons of psychology, such as Yerkes and Adolph Mayer. Later, Goddard, Brigham, Durham, and other intelligence measurement authorities would join up. Professors from the medical schools and life science departments of Harvard, Columbia, Yale, Emory, Brown, and Johns Hopkins were counted among the ranks. All right, again, I'm going to chime in real quick. Did you hear that list of prominent institutions? These professors were instructing and preaching eugenics to the future lawyers, judges, doctors, politicians, teachers of the United States, and of foreign students who, after graduating, took this information back to their countries. All right, so back to the book. It says, two race hatred fanatics, Madison Grant and Lothrop Stoddard, achieved leadership roles within the organization. Grant was internationally known for his bestseller, The Passing of the Great Race, which promoted Nordic whites as a superior race. Grant's book, revered by eugenicists, lamented that America had been infested by a large and increasing number of weak, the broken, and the mentally crippled of all races drawn from the lowest stratum of the Mediterranean basin and the Balkans, together with hordes of the wretched, submerged populations of the Polish ghetto. Grant called these human flotsam. Stoddard would write an equally belligerent bestseller, published by Scribner's, entitled The Rising Tide of Color Against the White World Supremacy. Harvard-educated Stoddard defiantly summarized his science in these words, quote, "You cannot make bad stock into good, any more than you can turn a cart horse into a hunter by putting it into a fine stable, or making a mongrel into a fine dog by teaching it tricks." Okay, I'm going to wrap up this video very soon. I just wanted to cover a few more topics to really bring it home. I want to show you how eugenics was able to flourish and become the basis for changing the United States going forward from this time period.
Yep. For this last 10 minutes, go up, man. I'm gonna get another break just to make sure, because we at the end. We at the finish line.
Shout out to the Mama Chief. Yeah, you be quiet when Big Mama speak. What she gave us is a part of me. It flows through my arteries. Even on that journey, that love grows how the garden be. The first to teach us when we sick, the first to heal us. Mama's boy, yeah, you know, her pride and joy. Soul food, yeah, you know, I'm an enjoy. Calm you down just by the sound of her voice. There isn't another feeling inside when they cheering you on at your game and you feeling the pride. You and your siblings fighting, she gon' make you put them feelings aside. She can't lead you down the road, but she can give you the guide. Where you think I get that blissful look in my eyes? I need a side of ice cream with Big Mom's apple pie. You know for sure for Mama Chief, you know I'ma ride. Cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. The greatness, the patience, the foundation, the knowledge passed down so many generations, our motivation. I just wanna thank you for my creation. Cause we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. The dedication, I seen your tears at my graduation. Now look, Ma, your boy that made it. You the reason I'm one of the greatest. Yeah, cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. Now be quiet, let Big Mama speak.
No, I'm talking about, man. Yep. It ain't over till I say it's over. So still happy Mother's Day. It ain't a new day until I feel I close my eyes and I open them again. Or the sun comes back up. Then it's a new day to me. Happy Mother's Day again to all the mamas. Shouts out to mama, grandmama, great grandmama. Let's go.
All right, on to page 112, it states, in 1912, shortly before the Eugenics Record Office installed its board of scientific directors, the New York State Legislature had created the Rockefeller Foundation, which boasted fabulous assets. John D. Rockefeller donated $35 million the first year and $65 million more the next year. Shy and intensely private, the oil heir seemed to enjoy corresponding with Davenport about sundry eugenic topics. On January 27, 1912, using his personal 26 Broadway stationery, the young Rockefeller wrote Davenport a letter about a plan to incarcerate feeble-minded criminal women for an extra length of time so they would, quote, be kept from perpetuating their kind until after the period of childbearing had been passed. Then it goes on to say, big money made all the difference for eugenics. Indeed, biological supremacy, raceology, and the coercive eugenic battle plans were just talk until those ideas married into American affluence. With that affluence came the means and the connections to make eugenic theory an administrative reality. Mrs. Harriman, the railroad heiress, wielded great power. When she made a request to New York State officials, it was difficult for them to say no. Davenport's proposed county surveys in search of the unfit, for example, were implemented by state officials. Eugenic agencies were established, often bearing innocuous names. Robert Hubbard, Secretary of the State of New York State Board of Charities, reported to Mrs. Harriman that, quote, our Eugenics Bureau is known officially as the Bureau of Analysis and Investigation, end quote. In describing the agency's work, Hubbard's letter reflected the usual eugenic parlance. The study of groups of defective individuals is so closely related to the welfare of future generations that the lessons drawn from the histories of abnormal families can prevent the continuance of conditions which foster social evils, end quote. He added that, to this end, the records of some 300,000 people had already been tabulated in 24 of New York State's counties. Hubbard promised to coordinate his agency's work with privately financed eugenic field surveys. In Rock County, under your direction, he deferentially added, permit me to say that it is gratifying to know your deep interest in this branch of work of the State Board of Charities. Another such agency was organized that became known as the National Committee on Prison and Prison Labor, first organized in 1910 by the New York State Department of Labor to investigate the exploitation of convict manufactured goods. 4 years later, the body changed its name amid a widening of its activities. Judge Olson, the stalwart eugenic activist who also directed the Municipal Court of Chicago Psychopathic Laboratory, steered his colleagues on the prison committee to create similar municipal psychopathic labs to document hereditary criminality in their cities. The New York Police Department did indeed establish a psychopathic laboratory for eugenic investigations, utilizing eugenics record office field workers supplied by Mrs. Harriman. Davenport himself headed up the prisons group's special committee on eugenics, which was established, quote, to get at the hereditary factors in antisocial behavior with the aid of a careful family history, end quote. Prisoners at Sing Sing were the first to be examined by Davenport's researchers under a year-long joint project with the Eugenics Record Office. Page 115. There was no way for the public to know if a seemingly unrelated government agency was actively pursuing a eugenic agenda. The United States Department of Agriculture maintained an active role in America's eugenic movement by virtue of its quasi-official domination of the American Breeders Association. Various Department of Agriculture officials either sponsored or officially encouraged eugenic research. Agriculture Department meetings went beyond the bounds of simple agronomy. They often encompassed human breeding as well. On November 14, 1912, Professor C.L. Goodrich at the Washington office of the Department of Agriculture was asked by a colleague in the USDA's Columbia, South Carolina office whether two Negro siblings, both with 6 fingers on each hand, should be brought to the ABA meeting at the National Corn Exposition for eugenic evaluation. Professor Goodrich, who controlled the presentations of the ABA's eugenic section, replied a few days later, have the children brought. I will put them on the program for a paper before the eugenics section. Then it goes on to say on January 3rd, 1913, Davenport wrote George W. Core at the USDA in Washington asking, quote, if not too late, please add 2 titles to the eugenics program. One of these would be Davenport's own last-minute entry, quote, a biologist's view of the Southern Negro problem, end quote. Then moving on further down the page, it says, Secretary of Agriculture James Wilson doubled as president of the ABA. At the group's 1913 convention, he rallied the forces. In his presidential address, Wilson declared, quote, you have developed in your eugenics section a great experiment station and institution of research with a splendid building called the Eugenics Record Office. Your laboratory material is the heredity that runs through the veins of the good, bad, and the indifferent families of our great country, assembling the genetic data of thousands of families, making records of the very souls of our people, of the very life essence of our racial blood. Those families which have in them degenerate blood will have new reason for more slowly increasing their kind. Those families in whose veins runs the blood of royal efficiency will have added reason for the pride which will induce them to multiply their kind, end quote. Please keep in mind, folks, President Wilson ran this country for 8 years, and this is the kind of thought process he had. So yeah, scary. And trust me, folks, he wasn't sitting on his hands those 8 years. He was busy furthering his agenda, making sure the right, or should I say the white families were multiplying. All right, so moving on January 3rd, 1913, former President Theodore Roosevelt wrote Davenport, quote, I agree with you that society has no business to permit degenerates to reproduce their kind. Someday we will realize that the prime duty, the inescapable duty of the good citizen of the right type is to leave his or her blood behind in the world, and that we have no business to permit the perpetuation of citizens of the wrong type, end quote. See, I'm sure you all thought Teddy was a great guy, but yeah, this is what he was thinking. It's just like many things we don't cover in our education. Unfortunately, our history has been written to glorify our leaders, regardless of what they thought or did. And what happens is we end up scratching our heads after we've had our history lessons, wondering, if everything was so great, how do we end up the way we are now? Now, some of you watching this would say, well, hey, there's nothing wrong with this country. Everything's perfect. Well, that's because you're probably of the privileged class. For many of us, that's not the case. All right, so moving on to the book, it says Dr. Ada Comstock, president of Radcliffe College, declared publicly, quote, eugenics is the greatest concern of the human race. The development of civilization depends on it, end quote. Dr. Albert Wiggum, an author and leading member of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, pronounced his belief, quote, had Jesus been among us, he would have been president of the first eugenic Congress, page 118. All right, lastly on page 118, it states, while many of America's elite exalted eugenics, the original Galtonian eugenicists in Britain were horrified by the sham science they saw thriving in the United States and taking root in their own country. In a merciless 1913 scientific paper written on behalf of the Galton Laboratory, British scientist David Heron publicly excoriated the American eugenics of Davenport, Laughlin, and the Eugenics Record Office. Using the harshest possible language, Heron warned against, quote, certain recent American work which has been welcomed in this country as of first-class importance, but the teaching of which we hold to be fallacious and indeed actually dangerous to social welfare, end quote. His accusations, quote, careless presentation of data, inaccurate methods of analysis, irresponsible expression of conclusions, and rapid change of opinion, end quote. Heron lamented further, when we find such teaching based on the flimsiest of theories and on the most superficial of inquiries proclaimed in the name of eugenics and spoken of as entirely splendid work, we feel that it is not possible to use criticism too harsh, nor words too strong in repudiation of advice which, if accepted, must mean the death of eugenics as a science, end quote. All right, so basically to summarize the last paragraph, there were British eugenicists that believed in the original theory of Galtonian eugenics, but they wholeheartedly disagreed with the non-scientific methods used to derive the bogus theories and conclusions American eugenicists were teaching and using to demonize people. Finally, on page 120, it reads, the millions of Mrs. Harriman, relic of the great railroad promoter, assisted by other millions of Rockefeller and Carnegie, are to be devoted to sterilization of several hundred thousands of American defectives annually as a matter of eugenics. It is true that we don't yet know all of the millions of our plutocracy can do to the common folks. We see that our moneyed plutocrats can own the governments of whole states, override constitutions, maintain private armies to shoot down men, women, and children, and railroad innocent men to life imprisonment for murder or lesser crimes. And if we submit to such things, we ought not be surprised if they undertake to sterilize all those who are obnoxious to them. All right, so I wanted to bring this information to your attention so you can see and understand what's going on in the United States and abroad to shape our society. What is truly sad is you would never get this vital information in any of our educational institutions. Why? Because they are still espousing this nonsense. It has infiltrated and influenced all of our institutions. As you heard in this video, this information was taught in schools. Our grandparents were presented with this junk science and philosophy in their classrooms, in their homes, via textbooks, magazines, newspapers, and journals. It was often legitimized and promoted by presidents, the military, congressional members, governors, and state and local governments. The information was taught via university and high school curriculum and virtually spread by anyone that felt like they wanted to bully others. There is so much more information in this book, as I mentioned. It's over 600 pages. This book is very accessible. I utilized the Kindle version for this video. If you want an even deeper understanding, I recommend you get this book. I really wanted to go more in depth with the information. However, I didn't want to lose you. My main goal was to break this information down like a police investigation. Any basic investigation will reveal who, what, when, where, and how something happened. So what I did was show you who was responsible for our rewritten history, what they did to accomplish the task, when it came to fruition, where it was taught worldwide, and how it was spread and used to manipulate not only the United States, but the world as we know it today. As I mentioned earlier in the video, the information in this book was carefully documented. I would dare to say there were approximately 100 pages in the back of this book dedicated to where this information was sourced. There are also several pages of interesting photos. Do me a favor, folks, please comment and let me know what you think. Also, please stay tuned for my next video. Hopefully, it won't take as long to create the next one. That said, I think it will blow your socks off. So please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of my upcoming videos. Thank you for watching. Peace, love, and truth.
Yeah, man. Shouts out to the info that was being showed just now, man. You know what I mean? Let me add it back to the stage. Let me show it who channel this is. Yeah. Straight up, man. Shouts out to Straight Up for the work. This dropped out a year ago. You know what I mean? I got more. As y'all can see right here, boy, I got a bunch of stuff they kicking. Oh, yeah, we definitely gonna watch that one. Oh, yeah, Louisiana Redbone. I'm trying to find me a Texas Redbone one. The Gilded Age. I know that's gonna be good. I know Sharice gonna want to be up in here with me with that one right there, man, with that Zora Neale Hurston one I got. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. This right here is gonna be crazy when I show y'all this the election of George Washington. Oh man, I got some heat. I got some heat to throw out there, man. You know, my apologies too, y'all. Usually, man, I usually when I play Mama Chief video, I usually always say shouts out to Mama Chief Powerton. Let me give her an extra shout out. I didn't do it today. I apologize, y'all. Coming over, sending my cousin on back, which he came yesterday, and then Mama's Day today. One thing about my mom Dukes, though, my mom Dukes know that I wasn't all the way in the, you know what I mean, like the right state of mind because of my loved one I lost. She know how close we was. That was her son too. Shit, you know what I mean. Spent nights at the house too. Shit, family, man. She told him to watch out for me out there, and my uncle told him that. My uncle raised him. He raised me, and did a damn good job. And the reason why I say he did a damn good job because even when I went through some hard things and started messing up, he never got on me like, man, come on in, since you don't want to go to school. He said, no, you going back to school, dog. You got to play sports. You're too good to be out here. And then I had another older cousin that did the same thing. Didn't want me out there in the street, so he bought me everything. Everything that them boys had, I had too. Just so they could have somebody to come see play sports in high school. Man, shouts out to the real, my OGs, some of the realest. When it got down to my era, boy, some of y'all OGs fall off, boy. Y'all ain't doing what y'all supposed to do out here. Straight up. I'm trying to tell you, y'all won't come out of jail and all kind of stuff and won't bogart or think y'all can go back to what you used to do. But no, it's a different time and era. You got to understand, we was young once and we was the first to try to do that to our older G's, our OGs, and they showed us the way. These youth today didn't even have some of us around because we came out doing that 20 to life with one stone, dog. You could be gone. You know what I mean? So granted with that, the Fair Housing Act also really seemed like it came into play heavy during my era too. Now you can't even be there with your baby mama. You come visit. You ain't staying though. Get caught, dog. Now you risking your child's house, especially if you couldn't provide it right then. So in a way, it was a help out to you for you to get time to get your shit together so you can move them out of that, if that's what you choose to do. Or it could have been a bad thing to where it separated you from your family. So it was a crazy situation in the South, man. You know, I'm not saying all places was like that. I'm speaking where I'm from in South Carolina. That's one thing I always do. Speak where I'm from, man. But shouts out to Mama Chief Powerton, man. Y'all go subscribe to her. She did a live today. Y'all go subscribe to her. That's actually the song that I keep playing, Mama Chief. It's her song that Dre Cobbs did Cleanup Crew fingerprints on it too with the visuals. You already know. My fault. Usually I always say that, but my fault for not saying that today. I totally apologize, y'all, but I had to catch myself along with a real Mama Chief alert that I got. You know what I mean? Shouts out to Mama Chief Powerton and all the Mama Chiefs out there, man. Without you, it's no us. I ain't gonna stay on too much longer, man. You know, I dropped the link for people to come in, man. Anyone come in, that's cool. Satisfied. Documentary was good. We might need to leave it like that. I'm gonna do this one more time, man, and then I might be out.
Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. Always keep it 1,000. Slow mo. Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. Always keep it 1,000. Slow mo.
Man, shouts out to y'all. Shouts out to the community, man. You know what I mean? Shouts out to the cleanup crew. Definitely my sisters from Unscrambled Minds, man. Definitely. A1, day ones. You already know. Love y'all sisters. Keep doing what y'all do. Yeah, matter of fact, I didn't do this. This is the last one, man. I'm gonna close out, man. Hope y'all told somebody out there that y'all love them, somebody, someone, or something, because they need it.
I lost my road dog just yesterday. Now I'm stuck on memories on how we played all day. And now you're gone, and I can see your smile no more. I glad you lived a good life, man, I know this for sure. Used to wake me up every day. You was always on time, my dog Snoop was never late. Even though you got sick sometimes, we never worry. We know you bounce back in a hurry. My vision's blurry from all the crying, shedding tattoo tears. You never gave us a sign, you was out of here. Broke down a little while ago thinking about you. Looking out my door calling for Snoop.
Man, shots out to everybody, man. Make sure y'all tell somebody y'all love them, man. And one more again, Sister Bethy, hey, goddess, peace out to you. Shouts out, love and respect. Happy Mother's Day. And I'm going to close with that. Happy Mother's Day.
Shout out to the mama chief. Yeah, you be quiet when Big Mama speak. What she gave us is a part of me. It flows through my arteries. Even on that journey, that love grows how the garden be. The first to teach us when we sick, the first to heal us. Mama's boy, yeah, you know, her pride and joy. Soul food, yeah, you know, I'ma enjoy. Calm you down just by the sound of a voice. There isn't another feeling inside when they cheering you on at your game and you feeling the pride. You and your siblings fighting, she gon' make you put them feelings aside. She can't lead you down the road, but she can give you the guide. Where you think I get that blissful look in my eyes? I need a side of ice cream with Bim's apple pie. You know for sure for Mama Chief, you know I'ma ride. Cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. The greatness, the patience, the foundation, the knowledge passed down so many generations, our motivation. I just wanna thank you for my creation. Cause we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. The dedication, I seen your tears at my graduation. Now look, ma, your boy done made it. You the reason I'm one of the greatest. Yeah, cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. Now be quiet, let Big Mama speak.
Love y'all, man. Peace.